And keep it riveted till.
Can I offer you some tea?
Good tea. Nice house.
Would you make me some of that Plomeek soup? Greetings and felicitations.
Houston, we have a problem. We have a main bus B undervolt.
Hello and welcome to Plomeek Teatime number 66. Today we're talking about a very special film, Apollo 13, which was released in 1995. And of course, I can't go on without mentioning today is March 22nd, which is William Shatner's birthday. Happy birthday to Captain Kirk.
Happy birthday, Captain.
Yeah.
Speaking of people who have been to space.
Yes.
Yeah, he was in space for a few brief moments. And I think out of everybody in that capsule, he took away the most from it. I mostly review science fiction, but today we're reviewing a movie that is based on a very real events, the very real events of Apollo 13. And maybe they don't get every single detail correct, but according to what I've read, most of the changes in this film are fairly trivial. However, if you want a documentary or a precise play-by-play, you need a history book for that, and more accurate accounts exist for that. What this movie does is it gives us an absolutely thrilling reenactment of the Apollo 13 mission, which was considered a successful failure of 3 astronauts with a damaged ship in which they didn't know if they would make it home. And Ron Howard, as the director of this movie, does an incredible job of capturing those emotions and the problem solving required to save these men. And so with that, I just want to say hello to the chat. And so today we have Alan Trioscillator. He says, Lovell says, Houston, we have a problem. We have a color grade oversat, making the moon look like it's made of green cheese. Well,
cheese.
Cheese. If anybody thought the moon was made of cheese, that was quickly debunked once we brought back some moon rocks. Of course, this particular mission did not bring back any moon rocks.
It kind of contributed to the problem that they didn't bring them back.
Oh, yeah, it did. They had to fix the weight issue.
Yeah, ballast in space.
Stone Racket says, who's also in the panel. Hello,
Stone Racket. What do you say?
What do you say?
I say, let's go to the moon. Let's light this candle and blast off into outer space.
Nice.
That's awesome. Can you read your chat?
Yes. Actually, it was Jack Swigert that first reported to Mission Control, but his transmission was garbled, and so Jim Lovell repeated it. Houston, we've had a problem. We've had a main B bus undervolt.
Oh, but they got the bus part, so they got the important part. And yes, you're right. They did change the dialogue to make it more dramatic.
Yeah.
They changed quite a few things.
Yeah, they did. These were professional astronauts, highly trained, and they wouldn't be, yelling at each other and that kind of thing. And Jim Lovell never swore. He does not swear in real life, and so he kind of took umbrage of that when Hank's playing Lovell, of course, was cussing.
Well, he took the Lord's name in vain once.
But I think it's when he's yelling about, "Are we on Vox?" It's like,
and pardon the swear, but the cuss involved is when he says "God damn."
Yes, I know. You didn't have to say that.
Well, it's a filthy Friday. A little bit of PG-13 doesn't hurt anybody.
Naughty boy.
Jim?
Jill?
Yeah, it's fine.
Jill, spank him.
What is this?
Stop kicking yourself in the ass.
This is not my fault!
No one is.
So you're saying this didn't happen?
Nope. And Jack Swigert was not wet behind the ears. He was He knew how to dock the spacecraft. In fact, he wrote the manual on what to do with if the command module malfunctions. So he knew that craft very well. So all that drama with him. Will he be able to talk? Of course, there's 2 other pilots there that so they weren't.
Right,
It's
exactly.
it's just it's
Especially
some of it's just silly, but
especially for
it's
what
okay. It's all right though.
especially for
It's a
what
movie.
yeah, it's because it's a movie, and especially
It's a
for
movie.
what Jim's mom says. And of course, Jim could have landed. Jim could have done it all because she says,
If they could get a washing machine to fly.
That's right.
"Oh, the other one didn't play. Jimmy can land it."
Yep, that's right. And that's not Lovell's mom. That's Ron Howard's mom
Well,
in real
fictionally.
life.
Well, and it makes it a family affair for Ron Howard as well, because
You got
obviously
it.
Clint is
Clint,
in there,
Mr.
and
Tax
Rance
Problems.
and Rance Howard plays
Yeah,
the
he's the
minister,
priest.
Yeah.
You got it. Scotty
And
knows his stuff.
oh yeah, that's how he's here.
Yes, indeed.
Partially. It's,
I'm
I
somewhat
gotta
qualified.
I gotta play some of these clips because I gathered 1,000 of them, and so I've got to play them at double speed in order to get through these slides at a reasonable amount of time.
I do enjoy drop-down menus. They're one of my favorite things.
Well, you get to see them here. Now I can press play. We get 3 seconds with each of these. So if you need me to pause, let me know.
Well, it's interesting because as everyone who is a fan of this channel knows, and if this is your first time here, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're shooting for 700, or Jill is. This is one of those things where we talked about Star Trek and people doing their jobs, and we've covered many a fictional movie. And while this is, adapted from reality, it's still a fiction to a certain extent. But these are the people who are really inspiring. Like when we talk about how the crew of the Enterprise inspire real life astronauts, these are the people who inspired Gene Roddenberry to sort of to pursue a futuristic utopia where people work together to solve a problem and try to aspire to be better than what we are. Like this is the template. It's the real world heroes. And it's sort of a quote from Free Enterprise from William Shatner, and happy birthday once again. It's like, you guys are treating me like I'm a hero. I'm not a hero. I'm an actor. Look at Chuck Yeager, Buzz Aldrin. These are heroes. And I wholeheartedly agree and echo those statements. When you look at exploration and courage, it's the men who are portrayed by the actors in this film that are the ones who inspire. They're the ones who should be elevated.
Yeah, absolutely. You could have mind read my notes. Those were half of what I said, but it was perfect because if you're a Star Trek fan, you can see how these two are connected in that way. How Starfleet emulates the problem-solving nature of real scientists who go on such missions, and how Star Trek it also influences those scientists as well. And so it's a beautiful circle of that. And so everybody knows how this story ends, and yet this movie is really great because of the way it is dramatized.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing. Like I think it was a couple of weeks back that Pop Culture Curator, and I hope he's doing well, was talking with PvP, who I also hope is doing well. They were talking about Mad Max Fury Road. Now they're not fans of it, but I am, and I was talking about it, and I was like, I held my breath for the entire movie because I like that movie. But then I watched this again, and I know they make it. I know they survive. And the entire time I'm on the edge of my seat, bated breath, my heart's pounding, just because of the emotion that is presented in it. Like I love this. This is the power of filmmaking to make you feel things. When you go into a theater and you see a story. Hey, there's Roger Corman.
Roger Corman sighting.
Yep.
Playing a senator that doesn't want to cough up the bucks to fund NASA.
Sounds like a thing. Well, and also it's Ron Howard directed a movie called Grand Theft Auto that was produced. It was his first movie, and it was produced by Roger Corman. So I do appreciate the sentimentality.
And before that, Ron Howard was in a Roger Corman movie called Eat My Dust.
Nice.
Oh, but that's a good scene. This is a good scene though, because the answer is, what if we never came back to the new world after it's been seen for the first time?
Mm-hmm. Well, and to skip to the end when it says, I wonder when we'll get back to the moon, and I wonder who will take us there. And as you said, when this movie was made, 96?
95.
95, and still waiting.
Yep.
Yeah, we've sent some rovers, but not ourselves.
And human achievement. You can send robots, you can send probes, but human achievement is achieved by humans. Wow. Sorry, I apologize for that rhetorical palindrome.
Well, I love the fact that we can use robots for these things, but there's something special about us getting in there and figuring it out.
Yeah, I want to go to the moon. I want to bring my 2 cats with me.
Have you seen
I was
Alien?
just thinking about the little space suits that they're gonna wear.
Yeah, the little kitty space suits.
Yeah, that'd be cute. I can't argue with that.
Of course, I don't know if they would really enjoy being in a rocket ship. So I'll have to give them some kitty tranquilizers.
Alan,
yeah, they'll be okay once they're there.
Says to Stone Racket and Franco. Walker. Hey, Franco Walker. Yes, Lovell apparently was referencing the occasion of the indicator light going under volt, but I believe it was back to acceptable when he made the statement.
I don't think so.
Well, Alan, try us
momentarily, but
wouldn't that explain had versus have?
Well, they said we've had a problem, but the thing is, they didn't fully realize what the problem was, and
yeah, they didn't realize they still had a problem,
and they didn't want to have that in the movie. Like I said earlier in the chat, they wanted it to be immediate, so we have a problem, and which is fine. I mean, that's no biggie.
Oh, but Alan's saying this is what happened in real life, is that the light went on.
Yeah, they main B bus undervolt, and then they both went out because 2 of the fuel cells were dead. It's like, they need all 3 fuel cells to get to the moon. So once that was realized, the mission was over. Now it was just, let's get these boys back safe and sound.
I did want to give a big shout out to the young actor who plays Jim Lovell's son. That is the famous lad from Kindergarten Cop, who says that boys have a penis and girls have a vagina.
Oh, you know what? He did look familiar to me, but I didn't make the connection. Thank you.
Yeah. So, scientist.
It's kind of...
and also the callback.
That's a guilty pleasure movie for me.
The callback in terms of there was a problem with your daddy's spaceship, and he's asking about the hatch or the door because of the fire that initially took some of the first pioneers.
Yeah. And about that hatch on Apollo 1, it took 90 seconds to unscrew that thing. And so, needless to say, they redesigned that hatch so they could open it up right away. Is that a snuffleupagus in the background there? What is that with the...
I don't know if that's
Yeah.
the Snuffleupagus I've seen doesn't look like that, but
Yeah, it's like it kind of reminds me of that. Of course, that would be not accurate because I don't think they had plush snuffleupaguses
but
in
that's another thing this movie does well
1970.
is the family dynamics of
Yeah,
not just the astronauts wondering if they're going to see their family again, but the family worrying about them at the
yeah.
same time.
Wasn't Sesame Street premiered in 68 or 69?
69. Yeah, that'd be August
Oh,
69. And
So this would work. I just don't
Sn-
know if they would have the
well,
merchandise.
Snuffleupagus, I don't think was on there right away.
yeah, no, he wasn't.
Well, you can't see him anyway.
It took a
Only
while.
Big Bird can.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, for a while,
For a
they
while.
pretended.
Yeah.
Eventually, everybody accepted his existence.
Now,
Makes sense.
Alan,
I do want to shout
yeah.
out Canadian Spider-Man and Cinema Gulp
Oh,
and
yeah.
LDG.
oh, they here? Excellent.
Everyone's here. Jim
Yay.
from Jim Landscape.
Yay.
Canadian Spider-Man, the hero we need but don't deserve because we're so, we're just bums compared to Canadian
Well-
Spider-Man.
Well, he's Canadian Spider-Man, but sometimes you can call him International Spider-Man. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's been everywhere.
He's everywhere. Everywhere there's a crime.
Yes, primary function is for entertainment. And Alan Trask later says, like literature for ages, movie making is an art. It's not necessarily for documenting history. But
I agree.
what it does do is it makes you fascinated with that history, and it turns you to the actual history books. If the story really touches you deeply, like this movie does, it'll make you want to learn more from the right sources.
Yeah. Jill, do you have Jim Lovell's book, Lost Moon?
I haven't read it yet, but that's what this movie's based on, right?
You got it. Mm-hmm.
Jim's Landscape LLC says hello to Matt G.
Matt G.
Lemon Pie is here also, as well as greetings from the
edge.
of time.
Hail, Edge of Time, and Lemon.
Yes, hail, Edge of Time, and hello, Lemon.
Darth.
Not only that, hello to Darth. And
who says
Kapla.
Absolutely. Vertebrae 5, Kapla.
Lemon Pie says, people say the crew scurry off with the wheel of a substance and a bottle of wine. Moon is made of. Oh, the cheese conspiracy. Yes.
Yes.
I do have wine, so let's go to the moon.
Cheese is flat.
By the way, Jim Lovell's Corvette was not red; it was silver.
Oh, I know. You know what? It wasn't. Yeah, it's not, actually the script I have says it was blue.
No, it's silver.
Was it silver?
Yep.
Oh, the script I have with corrections is incorrect.
I know because I drove it. No,
what?
I'm just kidding. Oh. Jim Lovell let me drive his Corvette. Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet.
Well, let's just say it was a silver bluish. Or bluish silver.
You know what? This might be an argument like that damn dress.
Oh no, not the dress.
John Cipolla says, doing a fly with the astronauts tour, we get to spend about 6 hours. I'm going to pause it here. 6 hours with some astronauts talking and chatting with them. Wow. Wait. Oh, Swagger already flew a mission.
As referencing what Stone Racket said. He wasn't the rookie that they implied in the film.
Yeah, I thought that was a little silly for them to do that. I mean, that part I could do without. It's like, oh, is he going to be able to dock? Oh, it's like, oh, come on.
Well, and even that moment when the umbilical is attempting to connect, and there is a situation where it sort of scrapes, like it doesn't do anything bad. There's no hard impact or anything. It's it is made to build tension, and we are meant to feel more for Gary Sinise and his omission from the mission.
Yeah. Exposed to
But
measles. It's like, huh?
yes,
He didn't get the measles.
but it's also, again, it is meant to heighten the tension and the
Yeah.
drama of the situation, because it is Bill Paxton's character, Fredo,
Yeah.
which I thought was fascinating, because it's close to Fredo, but it's not. I was getting Godfather 2 vibes.
And Gary Sinise, he looked at the script and he had a chance to play Lovell, but he said, "No, I want to be Mattingly because without my character, they don't get back."
Yeah, the cast in this is it's a who's who of 90s
Before we say
actors.
who's who, I want to read from Edge of Time. He says, "We
Please.
have Filthy Friday not because it's sleazy, but because
But
it's hard."
yes, agreed.
Fellas with the astronaut.
We choose to
children.
go
Oh,
to the
that's
moon. We
I love
choose
when
to
she
go to the
says that.
moon, not because it is easy, but because it is hard.
Sleazy.
Yes. Yes, Edge of Time, that was a play on Kennedy's words.
Yeah, I didn't quote
Booger.
that exactly. Can I try again?
Oh, for sure. If you want to say it the right way.
It's like we choose to go to the moon, and then he repeats, "We choose to go to the moon in this decade."
Decade.
He says decade, yeah. And to do the other things that he mentioned in his speech, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and to do the other things.
Yeah.
NASA is a fan of TOS, and TOS is a fan
You
of
betcha.
NASA. Beautiful. Circle.
Mhm.
That's what we mentioned at the beginning.
And I hope everyone on the panel has read William Shatner's Star Trek Memories and Star Trek Movie Memories, because he relates a story where he was visiting NASA and they had an AMT model kit of the Enterprise, and it fell apart before they were going on stage. So here he has these engineers frantically trying to repair the model before they went on stage. And it's like,
That's
well, it's an
awesome.
AMT model kit, and those pylons supporting the warp drive engines were notoriously flimsy and fragile.
Well, yeah. Ken, who doesn't get to go on the space mission, but does get to be a hero, simulating how to solve the problems on the capsule. It has his own Scotty moment, Montgomery Scott moment, and it's pretty
Yep.
great.
Yes.
I just love it. Booger 414 says, "I went to see Call Me Bill on Wednesday night. He clearly kept with not being a hero, but didn't say it that way." So yeah, I actually saved the link for that. They talking about William Shatner's "You Can Call Me Bill" review. It's a documentary on William Shatner.
Cool.
So yeah, so I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah. I didn't know about it either.
So I think it's because I didn't know, because it's brand new. It's by Alexandre O'Philippe. And so it makes you, I don't know.
I hope they cover Barbary Coast.
This is actually a terrible article to read. This article is awful. The article doesn't appreciate Bill Shatner, but I bet the documentary does. And so I need to go check it out.
So it's a review that you're looking at, and the guy or gal.
Well, it's the New York Times. What do you expect?
Oh, what do you expect?
I should have picked a better
William
website.
Shatner is the enemy of the woke. So
it was
yeah.
Well, at least I didn't spend too much time on it. But there you go. I'm so glad you mentioned it, Booger 414, because I just saw that documentary exists, and I'm going to go watch it as soon as I can. He did say acting was a job, no more, no less.
So, so is this available online, or is it in the theaters?
Oh, I don't know.
I think he went.
Yeah, he went. Yeah. So yeah, right, Scotty. So it must be in the theaters.
Limited
Yeah,
engagements, but it sound I'm sure it's available digitally. And
it released today
Oh, well, it's
on
yeah.
Fandango. Okay, so with Fandango,
I can hear you, Clem Fandango.
yeah.
Yeah, really, it released on his birthday. That's cool.
That's amazing.
Well,
And of
gee.
course, we're on episode 66 of Plomeek Teatime, and that's short for 1966, the
Ooh,
year that Star Trek premiered. Yes, symmetry.
Ooh, good
yama
one,
nama
Stone
nama
Rocket.
nama
That's
nama nama
beautiful.
nama nama Star Trek.
Star Trek. Yeah, yeah.
Penny is on
Hey,
her
Penny.
way
Penny,
home from grocery shopping. And Cinema Gulp is also excited for Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton.
I
Oh,
absolutely adore Bill Paxton, and this is one of those movies that really reinforces that. Just because I can see why he was cast in this, because I can see shades of Hudson from Aliens,
Yeah,
but
yeah. That's a
but
great
there is
character.
but this is also like using his performance talents to inform the story. And so he's a guy who isn't typecast. He's a guy who really pulls it off. Obviously, very, very talented, and I miss him. I wish
Yeah.
he had stuck around with us longer.
Yes, indeed.
mhm.
I am still awaiting the arrival of my copy of Aliens on 4K.
Nice.
Ooh.
For some reason, and it was delayed, even though True Lies and The Abyss and Aliens were all released the same day on 4K Blu-ray. I have True Lies and The Abyss already, but Amazon has delayed my copy of Aliens for some reason.
I
I
just
should
saw
be getting it
True
the next
Lies
day
for
or
the
so.
first time
What was that
recently.
now?
I just saw True Lies for the first time recently, all the way through. I never actually sat down for it.
And you
Yeah.
loved it.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
I watched it last night, and I had forgotten so much of that movie. I only remembered certain sequences, and I completely forgot about the chase with Arnold on the horse and going in the elevator. I said, "Boy, how did I
It was
forget
kind
all
of a
that?"
comedy. Oh my
You
god.
know? Yeah, it's
It,
an action
Horse is
comedy,
tired.
it was
and
adorable. I don't know.
batteries Aziz.
But again, it is a testament to the late great Bill Paxton in terms of his acting in that,
Oh, yeah,
and
he's
playing just
what?
an absolute sleaze as compared
Yeah, a
to
pathetic
this.
sleazeball,
Yeah,
a used car salesman, no less, Scotty.
Oh, he was so great at it.
Yeah,
Especially
but
the way he
yeah,
runs
but
away.
my favorite performance of his, as far as Cameron movies, is Hudson and Aliens. He's just fantastic.
Well, in April, we're going to finally cover Alien on April 26th.
yes.
So that'll be a good day. And I want to thank Renee Salinas.
Hey, Renee.
Salinas. Hi, Jill. I subscribed. Thank you so much, Renee. That is so great because we're working on getting to 700. And if you
Yeah,
do like this live stream, if you like talking about space and all of that stuff and science fiction, please subscribe. Help get me to 700. That would be so fun.
and then you can have a 700 subscriber stream.
Oh, come on. Let Booger ask about Snuffleupagus.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Then please read this, Scotty R37.
Booger414 says, how do we know if the Snuffleupagus we saw on Sesame Street is the first one? What if they are an ancient race of cryptids? That is an excellent question.
there you go.
I subscribe to your newsletter, Booger.
Oh, I didn't realize the conspiracy theory that is being presented here.
Well, if you want to be Snuffleupagus ignorant, that's up to you.
Yeah. Well, for some reason, I skipped over that, and I don't know. That could be a conspiracy in of itself.
You could hear about it all next week on our new podcast series, Snuffleupagus.
Oh
Ancient
man,
alien.
John Cipolla has read over 20 books about the space program.
Wow.
That is some dedication to the knowledge of that history. Good stuff.
Well, have you guys ever seen the Tom Hanks produced HBO show From the Earth to the Moon? Because I haven't. But I
Yeah,
want to now.
my younger brother got me that on DVD years ago,
Nice.
and yeah, that was a lot of fun, especially the episode dealing with the construction of the limb itself. I really enjoyed that one.
It's just something that I've always been aware of it. I've had it in my hands, but never actually put money down for it. And I do want to see it. Like again, it's like a docudrama. It's almost like watching. Well, again, it's Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks produced. Maybe not Steven Spielberg, but definitely Tom Hanks.
Definitely Tom Hanks. Yeah.
And it is sort of like the Band of Brothers or the Pacific of space exploration in reality, to as close as it can be approximated on HBO.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah, HBO comes out with a lot of stuff. But I have to before you mention what you're going to mention, Stone Racket, I have to introduce PvP to the live stream because he's very excited about this film.
Oh,
and
where is he? I don't see him. I don't see myself. There I am.
He's right here. He's right here. And before I say hello to PvP, I want to read this from Max Redstone because I want everyone to remember we have a poll in the chat. And the poll says, if you were qualified and the right age, would you fly an exploration mission like this one? And so far, we've got 71% to 29%. But Max Redstone gives us 3 good reasons against space travel. 1, I like gravity. 2, I like normal plumbing. And 3, I like not getting irritated. Jolan, true. Thank you.
Well, I'm a smoker, and you can't smoke in the space shuttle.
No, you can't. But hello, welcome to PvP.
Hi guys. Hi Jill. Hi Scotty. Hi Stone Racket.
So, what did you think of this movie?
Howdy.
Well, I love this movie. I'm kind of upset though because my alarm didn't go off, and that's why I'm late. I slept in on one of the times I wanted to be on time because it's one movie I love.
You're pulling a Scotty R37.
You're just on time. You're actually right on time.
Well, 32 minutes late it says here, but that's not too bad, I guess.
No, that's fine. We're getting warmed up here, PvP.
So they're not launched yet.
Not quite.
Not yet.
Okay.
No, just a day away or 2 days away.
Goof event. I wonder why. Event.
Oh, right. Yeah, they're practice. So here's the clips up to this point that I have so far.
I guess that does make sense.
I haven't played any of the clips yet.
They don't have their suits on yet, so yeah.
When was the first time?
I've trained for the Frowmore Highlands. And this is flight surgeon horseshit, Deke.
And that's when we lose Ken from the mission.
To the measles.
Flight surgeon horse hockey.
Oh, right. So that's okay. So I was mistaken. I'm sorry, Stone Racket.
That's okay.
There is some cussing in here. I thought it was only
there's just cussing, wall to wall cussing. No, I had forgotten that as well.
It's not a Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
Jedi Bill says hello to Jedi Bill. I didn't see you there. And oh my goodness gracious, gee willikers. Eugene Bird has donated a $49.99 super sticker of
Whoa!
Throwing the everywhere. He just doesn't care. He's like, look at this treasure I got.
My goodness. Jill, you're
Eugene
raking
Bird,
in the cash.
Eugene Bird, you are a generous soul.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Well, Jill, you can get us a lot of pizza with that.
Oh, I know. Pizza party time. That's a good idea.
Oh, boy.
But honestly, it is very touching, Eugene Bird, because you are supportive of not only of Jill, but also of the community. Thank you for sort of watching Fargo with us. And so you definitely make your presence known. And anytime that you show up, you don't even have to bring money. It's just nice to see you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But for that, I will play this.
Oh, yeah.
It's all real.
Oh my god, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
It's real.
And so in this case, it is real, and it all goes together, and I love it.
Yeah, it's
Now
pretty amazing.
this whole thing with their in the simulator and whatnot, this reminds me to keep going back to that stinking oxygen tank, that O2 tank number 2, which was a problem when it was, I mean, a month before launch. They were having problems with it, and if they had just replaced it, it would have delayed the mission maybe a month. But as soon as it was causing problems, they should have scrapped it and replaced it immediately.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a
sure.
great moment in the dramatization when they go to Ed Harris. And it's like, okay, so the O2 scrubbers in the landing module are different from the ones in the command module. And Gene, as played by Ed Harris, says, "Tell me again that this isn't a government operation."
Yeah. Yeah. different contractors, different shape of the scrubbers. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
The
okay,
landing
smokes.
module was made by Apple, and the command module was an Android. And now we have to figure out how to get a USB-C into a Lightning port.
Yeah, it's like, I just love
Yeah.
that is a great way of dramatizing, that they have this table, this is all they have. We got to figure out how to do this with this,
Oh.
all this stuff.
That was a great scene. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a great scene.
Yes, I love that too.
But
I love that
yeah,
too.
NASA does have a history of these kind of screw ups, though, don't they? I mean, sadly, when I think of the space shuttle disasters, the two that didn't make it safely back, that was technical things too. It wasn't, a pilot error or anything. It wasn't the crew's fault. It was the darn technical problems on the ships, right? And if NASA had their act together, and as you say, you put a little more work into it, maybe delayed a mission, for a month or two, we wouldn't have had those disasters probably.
Yeah,
And
it was just
yeah,
crazy. In
bad
62,
history.
the DC volts for those O2 tanks were 28 volts, and then 65 they changed it to something like 68 volts.
Mhm.
And the contractor that made that particular O2 tank didn't test their regulator valves, and let's see, what was that called?
Well,
It was thermostatic switches. It's a 28 volt DC power, and then went to 65 volts. I'm looking at this here.
well,
And
here's
it wouldn't drain when they were on the, doing the testing. It wouldn't drain normally, and so they said, well, let's just boil it off by heating it up, and their meter didn't go beyond 84 degrees, and
that's amazing. I just love
they're
that's
they're
another example of
yeah,
problem solving that isn't in this movie.
they're theorizing that it went up as high as 1,000 degrees, and that's what caused the Teflon insulation on the wiring to burn off, and so it was just a waiting, ticking time bomb that once they switched to stir the tank, because of the liquid oxygen. They had to do that once a day, but since they were having problems with the sensor for that tank, among other things, they did an extra stir on it, and that caused an arc, and it's fire, and then
Stir the damn tanks, and I stir the tank.
yeah, stirred the tanks. He did exactly what he was told to do, and then the rest is history. And
Yeah, and the other scene that you were mentioning is where is it? I just lost it. Here it is.
Fit into the hole for this.
Well, I suggest you gentlemen invent a way to put a square peg in a round hole.
Fit into the hole for this. Using nothing but that.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Now
love
this,
this.
Maybe.
This scene is just.
yeah,
I
and
remember the
they,
first time I saw this
yeah,
film. I had tears pouring down my face. I still get emotional because it's so damn well done. This whole sequence. It's just so captivating, and it just captures the history and the moment and the feeling of these Saturn V rockets lifting off, the power of these machines, the intensity.
Well, in PvP,
It's
you were a
just
child
well,
when this happened, right?
I was just a month short of my 12th birthday because I turned 12 in May, and this occurred in April of that year. And oh
yeah,
yeah, it's
April,
very emotional for me. This
April 13th, 1970.
Yeah, so just, my birthday's May 15th, so you just shy of a month. Uh, and I was probably that perfect age because I was still kind of technically a kid, but I was also becoming a teenager. And I was just at probably the right age to kind of soak it all in like a sponge, like kids do when they're that age. And the curiosity by then, of course, that I had about science and Star Trek and all of that, and then seeing these brave men go on these missions, with technology that we look back now as almost laughably, primitive compared to what we have now. I'm sure Jill could talk about the computer aspect of what they were flying
Oh,
with
all you have to
those
do is look
computers.
at the all you have to do is look at the how much coding pages are in the first mission and realize that wasn't even close to what you get like from just a digital watch. So
It's
it
crazy,
is
isn't it?
it's pretty crazy. Yes.
Remember, I sent you that picture of the woman who wrote some of the coding, I think, for the moon mission.
Exactly. That's what I was mentioning.
I sent
That's
you
what I
that
meant
photo,
to
and
say.
it was like a whole stack of
Yeah,
books.
she was the leader of the
Yeah.
programming team who
I
wrote
wish I
all
had
that
that
code.
photo. I wish I had that photo right now, and I'd post it or in the private
Mhm.
chat for you, but I don't have it anymore.
Well, I wanted to thank Donnie for being here. Donnie says, I'm reliving Apollo 13 on Netflix as I watch your live conversation about it. What a classic. Yeah,
It's a
this is a
really,
masterpiece of filmmaking, I think.
it's
It's
a
a word I
really
don't use much.
well. Not only does it feel technically authentic and historically accurate in the way that they capture all the details, not just of the mission itself, but of life on Earth at that time, during that age. They also it also has a great emotional resonance as well, telling the story. It doesn't get bogged down in technobabble or you know uh, too many details about the actual mission itself. It gives us enough that
The
we
details it gives are fascinating
relevant.
and they
Yeah,
keep you engaged in what's actually happening.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's a
And
nice mix of science and great drama.
when,
Great film.
when PvP was talking about details, real life details, and then it showed Fred Hayes throwing up, uh, he claims that he did not actually throw up on this mission.
Oh, good to
He did
know. Good
he
to
did
know.
have,
Good
some
comment
upset
to know.
stomach, but he claims he didn't actually barf. But of course, what was the astronaut breakfast, everybody? Steak and
Dang.
eggs.
Oh.
Steak and eggs.
Yeah, they fed those boys well
Well,
back in those days.
he said he had too much breakfast.
Yeah.
Uh, oh, excuse me.
Eugene
Yeah,
Bird says PvP. I saw her photo on Fox News. She was hot, by the way. Yeah, she was the lead programmer for the Apollo mission. Yeah,
she was kind of cute. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, a cute brunette.
yeah.
for sure. Oh, and well, here. Here's the other one.
I wonder where Gunther went.
Yeah.
And so I was like, who was that? And that's somebody important.
Oh man, I love those.
That started in Apollo 7. I wonder where Gunther went. Because and then I think Wale Schirra was the one that popularized that phrase. But there really was a Gunther Wendt who was there doing what he does before they got into the command module there.
Sorry, just a moment. I'm losing internet connection. Switching to Ethernet.
Hey, I see Jeannie.
Yay, Barbara Eden on the TV. Well,
yeah, this is where
a little detail like having a shot of I Dream of Jeannie on the TV screen in the background, like that's a nice little nod of accuracy to the time, right?
Oh yeah, they did
like
that earlier. Little things like that. There
Yeah.
more stuff than that is in here, like the breaking up of the Beatles and the little girl crying about it.
Oh yeah, they broke up that year. That's right, 1970. I remember that. I was just getting into the Beatles too. I was just getting old enough to get into rock and roll at that point. And I actually first Beatles album I bought was Abbey Road, which came out that I think in 69 or 70. And I love that album. And then I heard it on the news, the Beatles have broken up, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. That's interesting, PvP, because the first Beatles album I heard all the way through was Abbey Road.
Yeah, it's a classic. I love that album, especially side 2. There's something about that.
Yeah, side 2 is awesome.
It's fantastic.
Totally awesome.
Wow, this is so cool. Just being inside the capsule there with all those controls, and I just always am so amazed that anybody can be that smart.
Uh-oh, here we
learn
go.
that much.
Oh no, I can't look, Jill. I can't look.
Don't stir those tanks. Oh, too late.
Oh. And that tank was originally set for Apollo 10.
Okay.
But they had some
I
trouble.
apologize if there's been any dead air because my internet is blinking in and out. And I'm sorry if I'm talking over anybody as a result of this. So master alarm. Okay, so hopefully that's out. What were you guys talking about? I'm sorry, I've been out of the loop of the
We were just
conversation.
chatting general stuff. We were talking about the Beatles breaking up, and
and how I had
tank.
to I had to avert my eyes when they were showing the tank.
Okay, guys, continue on as much as you can without me because I am out of here. I'm not
Oh, can you reboot or something?
It's not. Things are not good.
That's no fun.
So do your best.
Clint Howard.
I'll get back as soon as
Baylock.
I can.
Okay.
We had a Clint Howard Baylock sighting there.
Yes, one of the few notable appearances of him during that.
Oh no, there he is.
There's a Baylock sighting. Oh no,
Baylock.
It's interesting.
It's Tranya. I hope you relish it as much as I.
Just as we start talking about the tanks being stirred and the explosion on the ship, Jill loses her internet.
No.
So isn't that perfect timing?
No.
It's almost like Jill planned it that way.
No, but this live stream. No, I didn't. And this live stream almost didn't happen because I took too long to do the slides, and I thought, oh man,
no.
I'm staying up way too late to do these slides. I'm gonna be too tired. But I was like, no, if they can stay awake, I can stay awake. And it's just
you didn't have a main B bus undervolt, did you, Jill? Did you have a main B bus undervolt?
It's probably something to do with my modem.
Yeah,
that's
modem.
probably why I slept through my alarm. Is I stayed up watching the film last night myself because I had to refresh my memory because I hadn't seen it in a number of years, and so I rewatched the whole thing, and it's like 2 hours and 10 minutes or something, I guess. So
yeah,
I was up a bit late myself. Oh well.
Well, and you missed a crazy emergency of my internet blinking in and out. Hopefully, it's back forever.
Well, can you hear me now?
Live stream anyway. Yes, I can. I can hear things now.
Well,
And you
sorry.
also missed Christian Fandom Geek getting here. Hello to Christian Fandom Geek, and the Beatles breaking up was mentioned. So he since he's a Brit, he bangs on about the Beatles.
Yeah, I'm a big Beatles fan, so I'm with you there.
Mhm.
Well, PvP, it's funny because, like I mentioned before, I know how this movie ends. I know that everybody is fine. And so I was in the darkest corner of my mind. I was like, you know what? I know this movie enough. I know the quotes, I know the moments. And
Yes.
so I did think, I was like, you know what? Maybe I can fake this one and just ride through it. And I am so happy that I didn't. Like, I woke up early, I set my alarm, it went off,
That's good.
and
That's
I
always
watched
handy.
it. It is, it's fun.
Yeah.
And I watched it on DVD, and like, there is something about the emotion of this story and the way that it is presented, and I'm so very happy that I got to sort of re-experience it, because like you, it's probably been 20 years since I've seen this movie.
Yeah, it's probably not that long for me, maybe 10, but it had been a while, yeah.
But it's very, very powerful, and I do think that, like, that's cinema. That's movie
Yeah.
making
That's
that can
good
make you
quality,
feel
high
things.
Good
yeah,
quality movie
high
making.
quality
Yeah.
cinema, yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
even though we've already seen it, we already know how everything ends up. We get involved emotionally with this story because it's very well constructed cinema. You know,
There's
It's well
no
constructed. It's
there's
well
no filler.
acted.
well
Yeah.
acted. Yeah. Oh yeah.
For a 2 hour and 10-minute movie, though, there's no filler in this film at all. Like, there's
Uh-huh.
no parts where I get bored and my mind starts to wander or whatever. It's like, nope, I'm pretty much, glued to the screen, so to speak, through the entire film. Whether it's the family life, the mission itself, the control room, people in the control room trying to figure out how the hell are we going to save these guys. It's all just riveting stuff. It really holds your attention, which is what a great movie
Completely.
should do. You know.
And yeah, so when the first problem they say, "Oh well, that's our glitch. We're not going to have any more," and then they have more.
Famous last words.
Hmm.
Big shout out
Ed
to Pop
Harris.
Culture Curator in the chat.
Oh,
Yes,
cool.
hello to Pop Culture Curator.
Hi, Pop.
Hello, Pop.
So good to see you there. And so I always hear about this Kevin Bacon guy, but here he's playing Jack Swigert.
Swaggart.
So the guy who
Swaggart.
Swaggart.
who wasn't exactly as green as they
Yeah,
wanted you to believe.
he knew he knew the command module very well. Like I said, he wrote the procedures in case of malfunctions, and so he knew the score.
But I still thought it was really cute when he had to get out of the shower to answer the phone, and he
Yeah.
did a little cheer.
Uh-huh. And he's with one of his stewardess friends.
Mhm.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that introductory
Why me?
scene when he's talking about docking and he's got the glass and the beer bottle, and it's a barely veiled want to do it. It's so, like, these are pilots. These are pilots. They are the best of the best of the best, sir, with honors.
Yeah.
And like, these are brash, confident dudes.
Oh, well, yeah,
And
but don't forget of the time too. I mean, the 60s and 70s, dudes were still more brash than a lot of the
Yeah,
time
but
these days,
Jim Lovell and Fred Hayes were married, but Jack was the
The Bachelor.
swinging bachelor
Yes, and
with his stewardess girlfriends,
There
as
you
Jim
go.
Lovell would say. He'd tease him about that.
Yeah.
and Jim Lovell played by Tom Hanks and Fred Hayes played by Bill Paxton, as you guys mentioned earlier. And
Yep.
so, given all that, is this part true? I gotta find out if this one's true.
Drinking my ration, same as you.
Oh, you mean Fred Hayes' illness?
Did he get the clap?
It was a urinary tract infection.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't.
Yeah.
He just did he suspect that he got the clap from
No,
Sharon
he was
and
no, he was
believed to
making he
with
was making a crack, but
with
he
Yeah, he was
it's
joking.
the crazy way they have to dispose of their urine. You know, they have that catheter thing, and I guess Fred had that on a lot more than he should have, and it just caused complications. And he did get a urinary tract infection, so he was ill and running a fever. So that all is true.
Yeah, that would not have
yeah.
been fun. Yeah, for sure. That would be quite
Okay,
painful.
so he just
Yeah.
had a run of the mill UTI. He did not, in fact,
Yeah.
get an
Now I
STD
remember
from
I remember of the at the time they
Probably
said
probably some antibiotics would fix him right up.
Oh yeah.
well,
I remember at the time when this happened, they said that he had a kidney infection. So I think they probably, instead of saying well, urinary tract, they said, well, let's make it. But it could have gone to his kidney though by the time he got back. I don't know. It's
oh
because
yeah,
I hear
no,
both stories. It's the urinary tract
un
and then kidney. So
I
and
just want
untreated UTIs
yeah,
can harm your kidneys. Yes.
Oh
yeah,
yeah, it could
poor
be bad.
guy.
Yeah, it
I
could
mean,
be bad.
he was in a bad way, and I just
I
it's
I
too
just
bad that
want
happened.
if Joe could go back a few, I just wanted to mention that amazing decor of the family's home, like in these shots, like that. That's like wow, that is like 1970 for
Yeah.
sure. That's like that's so well done.
Oh,
I think
there we go again.
there's
That's
another one
not right.
before.
That's
There's
not
another one.
right. That phone has a quick release. See it? It's quick release. It's like, no, that's not at the time. Doggone it.
Oh,
I hate when they do that.
oh, did
What do you
they?
mean?
Oh, I didn't catch that.
The cord going into the phone. It's a quick release that didn't exist back then.
I don't see it up. I need a close up.
Oh, I understand what you mean. In
It's a
terms of
quick
it being,
release cord,
it would
and
have been
it would been permanent cord.
Yeah, it would have.
exactly, and there
Would
wouldn't have
should have
been a
been permanent.
removable cord for it,
Right.
right?
It would not be removable, and
Oh, so
that
if you pull
drives
it
me
too far,
that 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 just drives me nuts when they have that. It's supposed to be a permanent cord with a collar
Yes.
extender, and that is definitely quick release. I hate when that happens. When I see that movie, I forgot about that.
Can we go
Yes, no
back?
modular
confirmed by
phones.
Pop Culture Curator.
Yeah. Yeah, that just drives me bonkers when I see that.
And once
Can we
again, we
can we
would
go
like to
back?
thank the elderly for this attention to detail.
Can we go back another couple? There's another shot
Yeah,
of the
no,
home.
Scotty,
that's a
Scotty,
correction that I would never have gotten.
Scotty, mind your elders.
I do
There's
mind
another
my elders.
there's another previous one
Scotty, shut
of the
up.
home.
No.
Yeah,
Can we
fair
go
enough,
back a
Pops.
couple, Jill? Back to before the phone thing.
Yeah.
Because there was another shot before this, just a couple before this.
Was it with
There was
Ken?
I'm sure there was another. Yeah, that angle of the
That's
living room with that wall paneling. I'm like,
that
oh
lamp.
yeah, I remember that. And I think there's a shot somewhere in the movie of their ginormous television that they're watching because it's like it's huge and it's just like, yep, that's my
Yeah,
parents' television in
that's
the
like what we
70s.
had, a Sylvania superset.
We had a Magnavox, but it was just as
Yeah,
huge.
you
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
It was a nice piece of furniture in your living room.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
furniture, exactly. Yeah, it wasn't just
And
tech. It was
they took a
furniture.
look at all the family photos that the Levels had to recreate their house.
Oh, that's cool. Well,
Yeah.
that's nice anyway. That's a little bit of a detail that makes sense. Too
Well,
bad
and
about the phone. I never noticed that.
I have a question
Well,
in regards to
before
the
be,
sure.
can you save your question because I just want to mention Eugene Bird's mentioning of the slide rule. While I watched this movie, I said this has to be the movie that has the most exciting slide rule ever, and I don't know if I'll ever see one that tops how exciting they make the slide rule scene. All right, what's your question,
Remind me to
Scotty?
send
As
you
they
an
say.
abacus.
An abacus. There you go.
I was
Well,
just
no,
thinking of an abacus.
I'm
You read my
I'm
mind.
curious. I'm curious if the news reports, and obviously they did get Walter Cronkite to narrate the opening to this film, and they use his real news reports throughout the film. But I'm curious if the news reports that are within the film are those of the period or are those recreations? Do you guys know?
Those are actual news broadcasts. Jules Bergman, I think, was the science reporter on ABC, and by the way, NASA hated his guts.
Oh no!
But yeah,
Why?
that guy. Oh, he was they didn't like him. They just thought he was kind of a jerk. But that's all I really know about that. But that's actual
That's the
news
guy.
footage. Now, as far as Walter
And that
Cronkite,
TV. There's the TV.
yeah, as far as Walter, hello, as far as
Yes.
Walter Cronkite, some of his off-screen narration reporting was made specifically for this film.
Yes.
But what you see when he's on screen, obviously, is of the period.
Right. So we see him
Yeah.
visually as he looked back then, but he
You got it.
added some new
Yeah, they had
audio
they
recorded
some new
recordings.
audio scripted specifically for this film. But
Yeah, Walter.
yeah, this is of the day
It also
news
says
reporting.
that
Walter
it also says
Cronkite.
that he edited some of it himself to make it sound more authentic.
I wouldn't be surprised. Walter Cronkite was, to me, I still think he's one of the best journalists that ever lived. I mean, his nightly news, you know, he was just a great, presenter of the news. He just had a way and a style. I remember watching Cronkite when during the Kennedy assassination, and he was on live when Kennedy actually, passed away, and he actually reported it live on the air that the president, was dead. And I'll never forget seeing that clip, like, watching those moments unfold, because
Yeah.
you could tell, and he took his glasses off, if I
Yeah, and his
remember, and
voice broke just
yeah,
for a little bit.
and he
Yeah.
almost went into tears, like he was just overwrought all of a sudden reading that statement on the news. And I think he was one of the greatest, reporters, at least to me. I always totally respected Cronkite's dedication and his dedication to quality, journalism. And I thought he was a great guy.
He certainly had the gravitas and trust of the people.
I think he was probably the top-rated newscaster of that era, if I remember. Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
man, so
journalism
nice to
used to be a very
think about
different
this.
thing.
Journalism used to be really
I
good.
want to
It was about facts back in
I
those
want to
days
play
more than now.
the clips that I
That's a
have
whole
up
different
to this
show. We
point.
should watch Network.
Oh, that's an interesting film as well.
Ooh. Network, what's that about? I guess that's about
I'll tell you
this,
about it later. You can hear all about it next week on our new TV show.
We
okay.
can start the
Houston,
news.
we have a problem. We have a main bus B undervolt.
Uh-oh.
We've got a lot of thruster activity here, Houston.
Did you talk
Did I
about
what?
Gunter Wendt? Gunter Wendt.
Oh yeah,
I wonder
well I
where
just played it.
Gunter Wendt.
I wonder where Gunter went.
I love it. Sorry, that's my favorite part of this movie.
Oh, by the way,
I know
Joe,
that's no, because Scotty R37, I always ask him to tell me what clips do you need from this movie. This was the only one he needed.
Vent.
Yeah, that's from Apollo 7 when they started doing that, because that guy actually was real. He was there to check in the astronauts and make sure everything was a-okay.
And he wore a bow tie. That's all I learned from my very, very brief research.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
oh, by the way,
I just wanted.
I sent in the private chat, Joe, the page for the Apollo 13 off Wikipedia, and it shows very clearly the damaged service module. If you want to take a look at that, it's quite amazing how how much damage there was. I mean, how they ever survived is quite incredible, because you look at that photo and it's really quite scary, the amount of damage on the ship.
And that thing is, they were concerned about the heat shield, and it was like, oh boy,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and they just when they said if they came in too steep, they would burn up in the atmosphere. If they came in too shallow, they would skip off the atmosphere and be
It's skip.
quote lost in space unquote. And
Yeah,
that just
not in
kind
a
of
fun way.
just blew my mind because I'm like, oh man, would I want to be a permanent relic in space, or would I want to be burnt up in the atmosphere? It's like
not
either
much of a
scenario was
yeah,
terrifying to me as a 10-year-old.
not a choice
Uh,
I'd want to make. Yeah,
yeah, but yeah,
And at the end of this film, they show it. They recreate this damage
very well
in
too. I thought.
amazing detail.
yeah,
Yes,
they
So
showed
great.
they took pictures of that once they were
they were in the lunar lander
yeah,
at
when
that
they were
point,
in
right?
the and that they put that in the newspapers, and I was just stunned at the amount of damage.
Well, I think the whole
Mhm.
excuse me, the whole world was stunned at the situation back then because that's one of my strongest memories of those 6 days. I mean, basically, we're talking almost a week, but technically
Yeah,
6 days.
right.
The way the news cast came on with the daily updates and the concern that everybody was feeling, and I remember the newspapers and it was the radio. It was just like the entire world for once was actually coming together, and I don't remember anybody saying a bad thing or a negative thing or wishing the astronauts harm. It was all like people just hoping and praying and positivity, and
But
everybody, it was
that's
like it united the world for a week.
But that's
Really
Yeah,
also
did,
something that is addressed within the film in terms
yeah.
of no one cared about them actually landing on the moon, which was
Well,
a
it was
supreme
passe by
achievement
then.
for humanity. I'm sorry, I don't mean to hog the conch, but like it was something that it had become routine. It
It had.
or at least in the eyes of the public
Well,
that it
the
had
general
become routine.
population,
And
yeah.
so when I'm sorry, I just and with his wife, Jim Lovell's wife in the dramatization, played by Kathleen Quinlan, and love perfectly so, is like, why is it boring for them to land on the moon, and it is more interesting for them to not? And I think that this is something that exemplifies some of the risk that goes into the space program. Is that failure is part of the process. When people celebrate the failures of the space program because it's like, oh, look, that sucked and I don't like it. It's the learning from those failures builds to the successes of tomorrow. And that is what we're supposed to be striving towards. Saying like a giant spaceship, the biggest one ever made, fell to the earth. It's like, yeah, it did. And it was expensive. But we have to learn from that failure to achieve greatness. And it is failures like this that will make it so we can learn from those mistakes and ensure our progress to the stars. And so that's like I whenever anything goes south, I mourn for it, and I feel badly for the people who have given their lives in this endeavor. But that endeavor, like their lives were not given in vain, and it is making it so that future generations can achieve better. I
failure is
passed I passed the shoe.
failure is not an option.
I
Gene,
don't think that's what I was saying at all, but I
yeah,
like that quote.
Gene Kranz. No, it just reminded me when you started talking about some of the Gene Kranz didn't actually say that, but he did use it for the title of his book.
Well, then it kind of encapsulates everything he did say in
Yes, yes, it
a
does. He
beautiful
loved that
way.
line, and that's why he used it for his book. So, but yeah, I agree. It does encapsulate things very well.
Did Ed
Well,
Harris win an Oscar for this?
he should have.
You should
I
have.
don't
I'll
know if he
check.
I
I'll
did.
look it up.
forgot.
I'll look
I
it up.
forgot to mention when uh, oh,
I
I
do
I'm
agree with
sorry, I
you
had a
that
senior moment.
I'm really happy that um that this particular mission didn't end with the lives of these astronauts being taken from us. But that
Right.
is what turned the attention to them, is that it wasn't
Well, it didn't go as planned, and therefore
yeah, it didn't
that
go as
gets
planned,
attention,
and so
right?
that got that got way
And
more
I just
attention.
wanted
But
to speak to
and
Scotty's
so
point.
yeah, that it made such an impact in terms of how everybody worked together to figure out how to do it. But the astronauts themselves knew the risks they were in, and if everybody realized what risks they were undergoing, they would be more interested in the successes. And so I think that's where the fault of education was at hand there. And so, because every single mission should be fascinating, because that is always a problem. And that lets me play these two clips that I didn't get to play earlier.
If I had $1 for every time they killed me in this thing, I wouldn't have to work for you, Deke.
Glorious.
Well, the thing is, I just wanted to get back to Scotty's point about how people lost interest because, we had Apollo 11 and 12 before this, the moon landings on those two missions. And, by the time this happened, supposedly the third landing planned on the moon, the public, they do go on with their lives and they move on to other stuff, day to day, stuff. And a lot of people just kind of put it in the background, right? And it does kind of become routine. And when something, a horrible accident like happens to Apollo 13 happens, all of a sudden people's attention snaps back. And I think that was basically it, is because it no longer was routine. It was life and death, real life drama. No, not, a movie like this, but it was real life drama for those 6 days, which I think is why a large parts of the world were riveted to the the news media, and even just talking amongst themselves. I mean, it was a buzz that week in the air. It was like almost palpable that people were just like hoping so hard that these guys would somehow pull it off against all the odds that they were facing, and they would come back safely. And when they did land, it was like a joyous
Well,
Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
around
if
the
you
world.
watch this movie, you do get very happy tears at the end of it.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
I can only imagine that that's how the world felt.
Yeah.
it
It
was
was
intense
a
week.
it was a very tense week. Yeah, remember that very well. And as a child, I wanted to know about every mission, and I wanted coverage on every mission. And they they didn't show, like what they were doing in the command module and earlier in the film, and we find out that all the stuff that they're doing to entertain everyone back on Earth isn't being aired by any of the networks at all.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Exactly.
and
the thing is that changed after this because
and
but
I
go
think
ahead,
it's an
Scotty.
thank you. It's an interesting part of the dramatization when it comes to Ken Mattingly, and he, because he's not going to get the measles, so he can't go to space. And he's at home, and he's waiting the same way that Jim Lovell's wife is, and hoping to see what's going on with the mission, and they don't air it. And he's watching Dick Cavett make fun of it and say that there are 3 million fewer viewers than had watched the previous two moon landings, and he just gets so frustrated. Empty cans of Budweiser
Yeah.
around him, a full ashtray, and he's just like,
Yeah.
fine. This is fine. If you're telling me it's routine, it's routine. And he just goes to bed. And it isn't until someone wakes him up and says, Ken,
Yeah.
you could
We need some milk.
wakey, eggs and
Yeah.
breaky.
You're needed.
Yeah. And
Yes.
that's when the heroics, like it, and that is one of those things that for the men and women, although we don't see many women in this movie. I don't really care about representation. I'm just saying, Kathleen Quinlan,
They're
come
there.
on.
There are a few there.
Mar-
They're there.
Marilyn,
They're being computers and things.
Kathleen Quinlan as Marilyn Lovell. She really did have a nightmare, as it's depicted in the film. But the thing is, it was because Lovell took her to see the movie Marooned in the months
Oh,
prior,
what a
and
choice, eh?
Yeah, and the thing is, and then when this, when he's going up again, she started having nightmares, instigated by her having seen that film Marooned.
Jeez, that's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
why would he take her to see that movie of any movie?
Yeah, I mean, it's prescient because that movie is directed by John Sturges and it stars Gregory Peck and David Jansen, James Franciscus, Gene Hackman,
Good cast.
and Richard Crenna, and
Oh, this sounds like a good movie.
it's about a disaster in space where
And
their their engine malfunctions and they're stuck up there and they're running out of oxygen.
yeah,
Well,
and so that's a
bad
very
joke.
interesting movie that I want to see. But this, I'm glad you're talking about Lovell's wife, because
Marilyn
here
Lovell.
Marilyn. Oh, she has a mountain on the moon, and when they
Yes.
did that, I was like, does she really have a mountain? She does. She really does have a mountain named after her on the moon. But here she is caring about her husband.
No, don't give me that NASA bullshit. I
Swearing.
want to know what's happening with my husband.
Sorry for the swear. No.
It's Friday.
It's Friday. You got to get down on
But
Friday.
okay, so
No.
does she not curse?
It's oh, I'm sorry, Jill. I'm being silly. She probably was very upset.
Yeah,
And
she's probably the only one who actually did make that curse.
and it's like,
Yeah, of course she would.
she wants the truth, and she doesn't want to be coddled by NASA.
Oh, my laptop's
Houston,
unplugged.
we have a problem. We have a main bus B undervolt.
Uh-oh.
I did not even mean to click on that. That was an accident.
Jill has the main B bus undervolt. Her laptop is getting low on power.
You just need to keep that clip on forever. Every time you have a technical difficulty, just so you can play that.
Yeah, I agree. That'd be a great clip.
You're so right. You're so right. I do need to do that.
You better balance all the variables there, Jill, so you can land safely.
And then, Jill, when something comes up, just say, "Panel, I have a problem."
That's pretty smart. Also, hey, hello to Lord Thoth. I'm so glad you're here today to look at this movie with us.
Lord Thoth.
Lord Thoth says, "Hey, Pop."
And also hello to Suzanne Exton.
Hey, Suzanne. Hello.
Oh, it's Suzanne. It's PvP's girlfriend. No.
Oh, let's not start rumors now. Now.
They're friends.
Oh yeah, she's always
we're just a little flirty in the chat.
a little flirty. That's all. Yeah, that's okay.
Franco needs some tea. Very important.
Hey,
that's a good idea.
Yes, and it is tea time here on Jill's channel.
Actually, though, Suzanne and PvP are kindred spirits. The old floor model television sets were works of art. You could display your family photos on them and flowers.
Oh yes,
that's what my mom did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Same with my mom.
Well, I mean, those suckers are about 6 feet long or something. Like, they were huge.
Mm-hmm. And hello to SP4H. How are you doing? How are you doing on this Friday?
This fabulous Friday.
Fabulous Friday, because we're going to figure out this problem with this ship and get them home.
I'm kind of being just slightly facetious because when I woke up, it was snowing, big fluffy flakes of snow.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Of course, I'm in Iowa, and it's pretty cold here.
Gosh, we had record high temperatures a couple days ago here. Amazing for March. But yeah, we hit 19 Celsius, I think it was, which is
they just
warm.
Before the stream started, they were plowing out our parking lot.
Oh no! Wow.
So it's like, we got a just a bit of snow this morning.
And we're only like a couple days away from spring, are we not? Like, isn't that Tuesday or something?
And who was that newscaster? Frank McGee.
Frank McGee, thank you.
Yep.
Boy, I'm impressed.
And there's
Rocky,
I don't care what anything was designed to do. I care about what it can do.
There you
Yeah.
go.
What
There's
can
a good
do?
line.
I love that because the reason that's so wonderful is obviously because the mission isn't going right. So they have to come up with a whole new plan. And so it doesn't matter what we were going to use this for before. Now it's got to be something different.
Now
Now it's about survival.
look at Marilyn's. She's got the bedspread and the drapes match.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I
Yeah,
tell you,
that reminds me of my folks' master bedroom. They same thing, except it was a little more purple, and
yeah, those
and
the
the
fabric.
pattern that my mom had for
Yeah, the fabric patterns back in
yeah.
those days were pretty wild. That's for sure, man.
Yeah.
And the screenplay was done by William Broyles Jr. and Al Reinert, and written. Oh, it was written with Kevin Costner in mind because how well he looked like Lovell.
Yeah, Jim Lovell thought that Kevin Costner would be a good choice to play him.
Well, we
And
ended up with Tom Hanks.
yeah, I'm glad we had Tom Hanks
Yeah,
instead.
he
Yeah,
he has a great personality for it.
Hanks was
Mhm.
really good in this
And
film.
of
Yeah,
course,
I agree.
Hanks was sent the script because he's an Apollo mission junkie. You know,
Oh, I
he's
never
really
knew that.
oh yeah, he just loved the space program and
Cool.
he also loves my favorite movie of all time, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Hey, that's my favorite
Oh,
movie.
that has
No
a
PvP. That's
reference.
my favorite movie.
No, that's
No.
my favorite movie.
Okay. So earlier in the movie, he does
Actually,
this dumb thumb thing with the moon, and now he's doing it
Right.
with Earth.
that's so cool.
Yeah, that's just echoing what we saw during the opening credits there with
Putting it
Yeah,
putting it into perspective, so to speak.
yeah.
exactly.
And he did say we want to go to the moon instead of Acapulco, but that was
And
that was referring to his Apollo 8 mission days.
and there is a reference to 2001 in this movie. They do mention it.
Yes.
2001 would be a good choice for a Friday stream, perhaps, Jill. Something to think about, maybe.
Yeah, they did, that has been mentioned before.
Of course.
That has been and not by me. It was somebody else on
I
one
don't
of
think
Jill's
I brought
streams.
it up before, unless I've forgotten many
Yeah, I don't
moons ago,
know.
maybe.
Like 20 people have brought it up.
Yeah, okay.
It's like
Well,
it's like an
that-
obvious. It's an obvious thing that I have to do at some point. Maybe not
That-
20. I'm
yeah.
exaggerating,
Well, it does tell you
but it's
how
come up.
influential that film is for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
You know, just saying.
Yeah.
And the script that I have has some corrections from the movie to reality, and it says that Lovell's cassette player did actually play the 2001: A Space Odyssey theme.
Thus spake Zarathustra. Yes.
Yes, but not Spirit in the Sky.
Yeah. That's a cool song.
It is.
Funky
Very
man.
much.
They probably added
So-
"Spirit in the Sky" so they could add that song to the movie soundtrack album or something.
Definitely. Well, why not? It's good.
Why
movie.
not?
It's a-
Well, I mean, you got to pick songs appropriate for that time, right? So that makes
Mhm.
sense. You know.
Oh, and Brad Pitt was almost Swaggart.
Yeah, he
So-
turned it down to do 7.
There you go.
Uh,
So we got Kevin Bacon there.
And
That's
Kevin Bacon, which of course is Star-Lord's hero.
Which is interesting because it's not confirmed, but when I do get 700 subscribers, Scotty R37 wants to watch 7. So I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but that is
think-
the
I think
Suggestion.
seven brides for 7 brothers. No.
oh, that sounds funny.
Well, it's just one of those classic musicals from the 50s, you know.
yeah, it's a musical. Lots of singing, lots of
Not,
dancing.
no,
Jill.
no sci-fi, no fantasy, just singing and dancing.
Yeah, but it's good. It's a good movie.
Is
though.
it a comedy?
There's comedy aspects
There's
to it. I think.
there's comedic aspects to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's fun. It's
But no, I'm being silly.
lighthearted
You
entertainment.
are, of course.
May not
I-
fit on your theme on Fridays, though. You know, which is sci-fi.
Yeah, but
mostly.
be careful what you suggest with me. Sometimes I remember it and it comes up, and if it
Oh,
does, remember
good to
that is
know.
your fault.
I'll have to think about that.
How about
What can I suggest?
instead of 7? How about the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad?
Oh, that's the choice. Yes, that's a great movie. And Jill, remember when we watched Jason the Argonauts that one time, and you really enjoyed it?
Of
Seven
course I did.
Bad is Ray
Yeah,
Harryhausen's film just before Jason, I believe, and it's just as good. It's a
yeah, yeah.
great film.
Jason and the Argonauts. That was from '63, and Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, I think, is from '58, I believe.
Something like that. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the same era. Yeah, and
yeah.
it's
But it's
both.
Ray Harryhausen. It's
Yeah,
classic stuff.
it's Harryhausen at his peak. Basically, both of those films are pretty much
Yeah,
just top
Argonauts.
notch.
Argonauts is. It was interesting. Just real quick, Tom Hanks presented a special Oscar to Ray Harryhausen, and
Cool.
he when he was introducing Ray, he said, "Well, most people think that the Citizen Kane is the greatest movie ever made, but I say Jason and the Argonauts."
Cool. That
And
is
I'm
a
like,
great movie.
"Yeah, there you go."
Well,
Yeah.
It's
it's
definitely
so
way more
funny.
fun.
It's so funny because I am such a beast when it comes to physical media, and I've been trying to find Jason and the Argonauts out of print, unavailable unavailable. It is one of the more expensive discs, and so I am
That's
absolutely flabbergasted because
that's
I
too
would
bad.
love to see it. My dad
Try
wants it.
Yeah.
try eBay, Scotty. Sometimes you'll be surprised how people will put something on auction or something dirt cheap, and they don't get any bids, and they end up selling it like for 99 cents or something. So take a look at eBay. That sometimes you can find some real good bargains on there.
Yeah,
So you might,
Well,
I got that.
and you are PvP. Like I colloquially we refer to you as PvP, but it does stand for Pleasant Valley Picker, CA, and you are a man who knows how to get stuff, and
Yep.
so I will
Well,
consider
it's
that.
getting harder and harder to find good stuff, actually. To be honest, it used to be a lot easier, even 3 or 4 years ago. But now,
Yeah.
I used to go to like the charity shops and stuff, and now there's less quality and higher prices. So that doesn't actually help. But it's an interesting hunt. Let's put it that way. It's like hunting for stuff,
Well, there you
which of
go.
And
course we love
PvP
to
is a
do.
man who knows how to get things.
exactly, he's like James Garner in The Great Escape. Big shout out
I
to
was
Maria
thinking
with
of
T and
Red
Kelly and
from
Sport.
Shawshank.
You're thinking of who?
Oh, Red, he's a man who knows how to get things.
Oh, I have not seen Shawshank, I have to admit, so I'll have to check that out then. By the
Oh,
way,
and wait a minute. Eugene Bird says Jill is into romance too, judging from her thumbnails. She could branch out to love story movie reviews. Wow. Only if the love story is interesting. So far, the only love story that I would ever want to review, like a full-on romance that I'm even halfway interested in, because I like my genres to be mixed. Like if it's horror, I need it mixed. So for romance, I need it mixed. And so I like Joe versus the Volcano so far. That's the only pure romance that I would review at this point.
Another Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
wow.
And hello to Maria with T and Telly. And did you have something you wanted to add, PvP? Or had to jump in there with that?
Not really about as far as stuff on eBay or whatnot, but
Franco
I
Walker
guess
only buys off of eBay.
I was going to mention that Seventh Voyage is 58 and Jason is 63. He did two films between that: Three Worlds of Gulliver in 1960 and Mysterious Island in 1961. Actually, Mysterious Island's a real good one too, but it's not really sci-fi per se or fantasy. It's kind of fantasy, but
It's Jules Verne.
yeah, it's Jules Verne.
And
So Darth says,
it's the return of Captain Nemo too. So there you
And
go.
Captain Nemo is in that.
There's your
Yes,
sci-fi.
that is actually would be a good one for Jill to do because Captain Nemo is quite significant in that film. Come to think of it now,
Played by
thanks so
Herbert
much.
Lom instead of
Yeah,
James Mason. It would have
he's
been
good
nice
in
if
it.
they got James Mason again.
Well, Herbert Lom does pretty good performance too. I thought.
the name of that film, Captain
The
Nemo?
Mysterious Island,
Mysterious
1961.
Island.
Yeah, that's the sequel to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, as far as Jules Verne's novels.
Oh, it's a Jules Verne novel. I have not read.
Yeah, it's the sequel
That's a,
to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, but it's it's a different kind of story. It's and the movie puts some fantastic elements that were not in the novel itself. It's
Well,
just to showcase Ray
you
Harryhausen's
know,
stop motion animation.
but a Jules Verne novel is always worth reading, so it's
Oh
okay if the
yeah,
movie's different. And Darth says, "I'm back. Did we make it to the moon?" Well, they did fly around the moon, but only because they have to get back home. So they're just going. They're doing what they
hey,
have to do to make the trajectory back home.
but
But of
Jill,
course, they cannot get onto the moon,
but
otherwise they would die.
but Jill,
Yes.
I saw Jim Lovell on the moon scooping up some lunar
Oh
dust.
yeah, because he has to get over his dream
Yeah,
didn't come true. It was his dream
yeah.
come true to go to the moon and get explore and do all of these things. But he, we only saw him have a fantasy of actually making it down there.
Right.
And it
And then they
is
have that
such a
scene where they say we're going home.
well, and that is a powerful moment when Jim Lovell says, "What are your intentions?" Because everyone's sort of fantasizing about touching down, seeing their landing site, and we have to let go of the things that we want so that we can achieve the things that are best for us and the things that that will be better. Like, we can dream about landing on the moon, but we'll never get home. And ultimately, the entire goal of going to the moon, it's a halfway point because you want to get home. There's no point in going to the moon if you can't get home, unless you want to make the moon your home. And I don't think that would be
And
very
they didn't have anything set up for that. So
right.
they made the right choice. This was there was only enough fuel, enough power, enough of things. And there wasn't even enough of that. But they made it happen somehow. They found it. They found it on there was enough of it, but they had to reconfigure things in order to make it work.
In
Such an incredible achievement.
this
It
slide
is.
where Fred Hayes was talking about his wife's pregnancy being an accident. It's interesting that Marilyn Lovell hid her pregnancy to her husband during his Gemini mission because she didn't want it to affect the it may have affected the his the astronaut rotation, for the missions.
Hmm.
If they had known that his wife was pregnant, it may have, he may have missed his mission, but
No, and that's also, behind every successful man, there is a supportive woman.
yep. And this did not happen, this confrontation.
But I really appreciate the sort
Yes.
of the discipline that is presented in this dramatic sort of misinterpretation. I really appreciate it. It's like, guys, shut up. We can't be bouncing off the walls and then for 10 minutes and then find out we have the same problem in 10 minutes. It's a waste of time. Let's get this done. And I do appreciate that for amping up the dramatic tension. And I
It's
think it speaks to the character of the people involved.
it's for extra drama.
Oh, because it
Well, it
showed
is a
how.
movie.
Oh,
For sure, it is for extra gem.
is that
drama.
what we're discussing? I thought we were discussing a documentary.
All right, reel it in, Sarcasmo.
Well,
Yes.
what it did was it helped show us how
Mhm.
much of a leader that Lovell was, and probably that much was true, and that Howard wanted to highlight that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
and
yeah.
also
Everything's peachy. I'm just being silly.
further down the line, when I
Mhm.
appreciated it when Tom Hanks as Jim Lovell says, "Gentlemen, it has been a privilege flying with you." And I was like, okay, now everyone's going to have their little inspirational moment. And everyone just sort of is silent, respectful, and anticipating the trial that is before them. And they didn't take that sort of Hollywood moment. Everyone is just stern and focused. And I thought that was sort of it wasn't typical
Well,
for a dramatization.
That's an accurate depiction.
Well, that's what real astronauts would do. They would be
Yep.
stern and focused on their mission. And
Exactly.
And if you do want to hear precisely what happened during this mission, SP4H has put in the chat an idea to go visit apolloinrealtime.org, which has the complete mission audio logs for missions Apollo 11, 13, and 17.
I hate to make heroism my ASMR, but I think I've just found where I'm gonna fall asleep. Well, no, and I don't mean to make that sound boring, but like to be reassured by astronauts that they're going to get home.
Link? Where's that link?
It's apolloinrealtime.org.
Where is it?
Do you have a crayon?
No, but didn't he say put it in the chat somewhere? I'm not seeing it.
I will do it.
Oh, there it is. There it is. I see
okay,
it now.
Then I don't have to do it. All right, great.
Yeah.
I specifically found the
sweet.
Apollo 13 because I was like,
Jill,
can I get through this? There's so much.
I just have
Jill is Capcom.
Scrolling.
Well, communications officer.
That's right.
True. It's true.
I know how to click on links.
Oh boy.
And Don said he's Mighty and Morphin.
Mighty and Morphin, Donnie. Well, guess
Don
what
Power
else?
Ranger.
Mighty and Morphin.
So let's get to work. Let's lay it out, okay? I want you guys to find every engineer who designed every switch, every circuit, every transistor, every light.
Every light bulb.
The guy on the assembly line who actually built the thing. Find out how to squeeze every amp out of both of these goddamn machines.
I didn't question any of the cursing until Stone Racket brought it up, but it seems right to me.
Well, I'm just specifically saying about Jim Lovell. Jim Lovell did not swear, and in
well,
real
we can
life.
find out if we listen to these mission logs that are these real ones. And I guess you'd have to fall asleep to them.
And you're saying Jim Lovell's a liar?
No, I'm not.
You calling him a liar, Wonka?
Yeah.
I didn't mean him. I meant everybody else.
Oh,
how much swearing
gotcha.
actually happened during this?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would waste my time doing that, but more power to you, Jill.
If
I will.
It's ASMR, like he's gonna fall asleep.
I can just see Jill listening to all the logs and going, "Okay, well, there's a swear," and marking it down, timestamps and everything.
Yes, and that'll be a future live stream.
Wouldn't it be cool if the Apollo 13 audio logs presented 13 swears? It would be apropos.
I think it would probably open up a trans-dimensional duct somewhere. No.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Well, yeah, we didn't mention that, but the flight of this mission did happen at 13:13, and this live stream did begin at 1:13 p.m. in Scotty R37's time.
Yeah.
13:13 Eastern Standard.
13:13 Eastern Standard. 13:13 and 13 seconds. No.
Actually, I think that's more accurate. Yes.
I'm not sure if I made it to the second, but I did make it to the minute.
You did.
And
you were
but
very,
I did
very
delay.
Accurate.
So there was a bit of a delay, so that might have been perfect. So okay, so of course they made
Plomeek tea times are usually quite perfect.
Well, thank you. Howard decided every shot would be original. Whoa! Oh, okay. So he didn't want to use any of the stock footage of the real mission. He wanted to make everything.
Yeah, the Saturn V. He used no stock footage of the Saturn V rocket. It's all models and CGI.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks amazing.
And NASA, supposedly, someone at NASA asked Ron Howard if they could use the footage from his film. That may be, just a lot of bluster, but I don't know. It's pretty pretty inspirational. It's like,
Well, and
Yeah, because
it's
it
like,
looks pretty.
yeah, it looks, I mean, it's emotional, like PvP was saying, it's something that you kind of tear up when you see that,
Well, it's so well done. I
it's
mean,
yeah,
it's almost like you're seeing the real, film
except
footage,
for
you know.
the arms detaching on the tower. That happens all at once, but as the camera goes down, it goes one by one. That's
Oh,
the
okay.
only technical glitch, but still, it's cool.
They probably did that for drama, I'm guessing.
It's drama, extra
Well, and
drama.
also in terms of the making of the film, I think this is one of the first times that civilians were allowed upon the vomit comet, which is the parabolic
Right.
uh, airplane or jet that is used to test weightlessness with actual astronauts. And that was something that was heavily touted during the making of this. And that's
Yeah.
how you get the shots of all of the things sort of floating around,
You got it.
and it's not strings, it's not trickery, it is
Yeah.
absolute, it is in camera with real world technology, but
There
also,
was there was some
Yeah.
movie magic, but yes,
of
they
course,
definitely did. They definitely were in a Boeing
Yeah. They yeah,
135 reduced
135. You got
gravity.
it. Yeah.
It-
They kind of pushed that in the advertising, or at least I had heard about it before I went to see the film. I knew that they had filmed a lot of that in the Vomit Comet, and I thought that was incredible because you only get like 20 seconds of zero G,
mhm.
and it's like, and they had to do it over and over and over. But all three actors are proud to say that none of them got sick, but that wasn't the same for the camera crew.
Uh-oh.
True.
Uh-oh.
I do want to say
No.
I just want to give a big ahoy, and I am so happy to see that Todd Michael is aging in reverse. So you are a day younger than you were yesterday, sir, and for that I thank you.
Oh, yes, Todd Michael, happy belated birthday, although I did say happy birthday yesterday in the chat that we are in. And they also made these pressure they also made reproductions of the suits worn by the Apollo astronauts. And they were even airtight. So,
No, the detail
whoa.
in this film is amazing. It really is. I mean, maybe there's a
So
few errors here and there, but overall, I find the technical, accuracy of this film to be just, very
it's
impressive.
yeah, it's pretty incredible. The changes they made were for, as Stone Racket says, for dramatic purposes.
Yeah,
Mm,
it's funny
yeah.
that they have Jim Lovell's mother saying flying a washing machine because that's one of Gene Hackman's lines in Maroon. He goes, "I broke the washing machine, and they
Oh,
won't let me fix it."
that's great.
He starts
Wow,
cracking up. You remember that
that's
PvP?
I have not seen that movie. I've not
But he
seen
just, "I
Maroon,
broke the washing machine. They
but
won't let me fix it." And he's
that's
breaking down in
brilliant.
front of his wife, in the
That's
communication there.
brilliant that they put that in this film,
And I'm
that
like,
line.
"Wait a minute, washing machine? That makes me think of Maroon."
That's great that they put that line in the film. That's cool. Little nod to another film.
Well,
Speak
I don't think so. That's just reminds me of Marooned. I don't think they were thinking of that in there
Well, they might have been. You
because
never know.
that
The writer might have seen the
I
movie
don't
and,
know.
you
Who
know.
knows? We'll have to.
Speaking of lines in the film, we've got a lot of lines that I haven't
Oh
gotten
my
through. So
goodness,
let's
the
go through
chat.
Uh-oh.
them.
Can we catch up on the chat? That was a gorilla imitation.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Let's see. We've got that. Oh yeah, Donnie likes that link too. Thank you so much, SP4H, for sharing Apollo in realtime.org. And you can find some really, really great history there. And yeah. But I wanted to share some of these clips that I was able to grab.
I want this mark all the way back to Earth with time to spare.
You
And
got
so
it.
they're figuring that out.
I need a flashlight. That's not what they have there. Don't give me anything they don't have on board.
Don't give me anything they don't have on board. That is my favorite.
Well,
That's probably my favorite quote.
that does make a lot of sense, actually.
Of course.
It's
just
not like they're going to stop at the hardware store on the way home, right?
oh yeah, like earlier someone said, how do you go to the bathroom in space? And they have levels say, well, we stopped by a gas station. We went to the gas station. We rolled down the window.
It's a good
Yeah, there's
one.
a rest stop, between here and the moon.
No more waste dumps. We're just gonna have to check. Gonna need some more urine bags.
Oh my goodness! No
Jeez.
more waste dumps. That means they got to keep it inside the capsule.
Well, and there was a cool scene at the beginning where they did have some space dumps, and they just said they called it urine constellation. And
Yeah, the constellation urine.
they sprayed it everywhere. This
Oh,
movie
no.
is amazing. If you haven't seen this movie, even if you know the history of Apollo 13, it is so
Yeah.
such a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, I saw this with my two younger siblings, and we all knew the story, but it was still a thrill ride,
Exactly. And here's where they have to shut down the computer.
Okay, Houston, that leaves us with just the computer, which I'm shutting down now.
We just put Sir Isaac Newton in the driver's seat.
And that's another part of this movie that I really love, where the astronauts have to make calculations on their own and compare them and relay them back to mission control, where they confirm or deny or figure out the problems together. And as we saw earlier with the slide rule and all of that, and with the computer that is at mission control. Obviously, the computer on the spaceship, they had to turn it off.
You know what I really like? Another aspect of this film I like, Jill, is the technology for 1970, of course, was state of the art at the time.
Mhm.
Looking back, we realized that it was comparatively primitive in some aspects. But what I like is how we had highly educated personnel here who knew how to do things like use slide rules and you know go into other modes, so to speak, if they had to figure a problem out.
Like
When
this.
Well, I suggest you gentlemen invent a way to put a square peg in a round hole. Rapidly.
exactly what I was trying to say, Jill. Thank you. It's like these people were so intelligent back in 1970. They could figure things out on the fly, on their feet, as it was happening, as it was unfolding. They could scramble, they could improvise. And do you think somehow the human race has lost a bit of that edge? Like it seems like now maybe we're so reliant on technology, and technology has gotten so advanced in our modern age now. Are we relying on it too much? Have we become lazy? I mean, I wouldn't know how to work a slide rule if my life depended on it, right? Not that I should, because I'm not a
Me
scientist,
neither.
but
I
you know,
never. I learned how to use a protractor when I was a kid, but I didn't. Nobody taught me abacus or
yeah.
slide rules, so I didn't bother with that.
Yeah,
But I
they
grew up
actually
where you,
taught us in 7th grade with the slide rule.
you're lucky they never taught it in my school. But I mean, I remember growing up, there was no calculators when I was, in elementary school. We had to figure math out on a piece of paper, with a pencil. Like that's how advanced we were, but we had to do it and we did it. And we didn't have calculators to push a few buttons and get the answer like in, 5 seconds or whatever, right? So,
And what about high school? Because that's when I got my TI 30.
oh gee, I can't remember high
Oh
school. Well,
yeah.
high
Yeah,
school wasn't a
No,
good
I
memory
love.
for me.
I had TI 82. I had 30. I
yeah,
didn't know about
yeah.
30.
TI 30, and then my friend Kent, he had a Hewlett Packard. It could do everything. It's just very, very sophisticated calculator.
Well,
Nice.
if you have a TI 84, you can play Doom on it.
Oh, didn't know that.
It figures Joe would know that. That's
Yeah,
But that's
I bought my TI 30 before. I think it was when I was in 11th grade,
a really
and
great point. Yeah.
yeah, I went to Target and bought a calculator and a little uh, case that I could loop on my belt. It was a denim colored uh, case for my TI 30. I still have that somewhere.
wow.
Oh, and do you know if this miscalculation occurred?
I only figured it for 2 people.
Maybe I should just hold my breath.
That's a good question. It may have been because he's thinking of lunar module, and he may have done that initially. But that's a good point. I don't remember that from the Lost Moon book, but it could be in there.
So they're trying to figure it out for the lander then, which is a different.
Well, it's because you're talking about the the 2 people going down to the moon.
Right.
And he's thinking that the lunar module's for 2 men, everything's for 2, and he may have just had that on the brain.
Well, of course it makes sense because if the 2 did land on the moon with the 3rd guy up in orbit, like they did back in the Apollo missions, the oxygen depletion would have changed and been at different rates, right? So
Yeah, because some of it would be with the suit.
yeah, so having the suit, good point, Joe. So obviously that would affect the ratio of oxygen left for the crew to breathe. So yeah, that's actually that's damn good that the film brings that up. Actually, come to think of it, because that is a very valid point, I would think.
And another thing I really love is when they have to build this little thing. It kind of looks like a house or something, but it's what helps them with their CO2 problem, because the CO2 is poisoning them.
I want you to rip the cover off the flight plan. With pleasure.
All right, now. Hydroxide canister. Two.
And so that shows that little that the ingenuity of that, like you were mentioning, PvP is so incredible. And so, do people still know how to engineer on the fly with whatever tools they have at hand? I hope so, because that's really cool.
I hope the top level people still do, but I do kind of wonder about people in general. Well, I mean, I guess back then the general population wouldn't have done that either. So maybe I'm being a bit erroneous there, but I hope the top level people, like that are working for these kind of programs still would have those abilities. Yeah.
Well, what you hope is that the people who have those abilities are passing it down to the newer people, and that the newer people listen.
Yeah, I highly doubt that we have anybody that could still build a Saturn V rocket.
Well, I love that they wake up Ken, and Ken helps with this whole mission. He's really amazing, because I want to know if he said this.
You need a break, Ken? You need a...
If they don't get one, I don't get one.
He was a determined dude, that's for sure.
Well, that's a nice little dramatic moment. Whether it actually occurred, I mean, I'm not aware.
I think it's in the spirit, though. I think he definitely was there to save his fellow astronauts. So he would have been, doing everything until the last possible second.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically, I think astronauts pretty much are a brotherhood, so to speak. So they're gonna. I mean, they're so highly skilled, trained, intelligent that they would probably lay their life down to save other astronauts in the service. So I think it's kind of like the military in that way, isn't it? I mean, basically, it's like your fellows in the field, so to speak, are your brothers, and you have to be united in your cause and in your missions.
Absolutely. Well, for sure. And just to expand on that, this scene coming up here, they're tired. Well, they're kind of wanting to ignore their Dr. McCoy for this mission, so they're
that actually.
Flight. Now I'm losing all 3 of them.
It's just a little medical mutiny, Doc.
Yeah.
Good old
I just lost level. It's like, what?
What?
Biosensors.
Did he get jettisoned from the ship?
Yeah.
Well, and it is an incredible moment. Simply because
please discuss that, and I will be right back.
It's an incredible moment simply because these guys are you know, going through the worst possible conditions to achieve insurmountable odds. And there is a moment where it's like, you know what? I get it. I have a fever. I don't necessarily need you monitoring my heart rate. I'm going to keep doing my job. You don't have to worry about that. And I do appreciate that the sort of mission commander is like, it's okay. Just
It,
can we let this
yeah,
slide? Can we
I
let
think
this slide?
I think another reason for that scene is it reminds us of these guys are human beings, in spite of their,
Absolutely.
incredible training and their dedication, and their intelligence, they get to a breaking point where they go, "Oh, screw it," and they just rip off the monitors. Right? It's like we don't need this stuff, right? Like it's just that little moment of humanity where they just kind of break for a second, right? And they just say enough is enough is enough, and they just toss those monitors aside and to get on with the important tasks. They don't need the distractions, right? You know.
Well, I don't typically enjoy discussing personal things, but like I've had a sitch going on with my mom, and she eats healthy. She makes sure that she walks, she exercises, and whatnot.
That's good.
And she was just recently in the hospital for like 3 or 4 days,
Mm.
and people are like, she's had 2 heart attacks, but she
Oh,
takes care of herself
it
like it's her
sounds.
job
Yeah,
because it is.
it sounds like maybe a genetic thing then. If I mean, if she's
Well,
living
and
healthy,
then,
to have
but it,
two heart attacks. Gosh.
disregarding the family tree, uh, we compare and contrast with my dad, who has 2 cigars a day, approximately a half liter of liquor, and everyone says, "Oh my stars, how is your husband healthier than you?" And everyone, from her, my dad, me, and my sister, we all shrug and we're like, "We don't know."
It's genetics, I
And
think.
it well, no, but sometimes doctors will tell you you can do things that you can't, and sometimes doctors will tell you things that you can do that you can't. And
Well,
so
doctors are.
while I appreciate the
Yeah,
referee that is medical practicing,
right.
sometimes it's just what, for lack of a better term, the cards which you are dealt.
Well, some people do have like in my family, running in my family is the cancer thing, right? Like I've
Mm,
lost, I lost my sister, I lost a grandfather to it. So and my mother actually had it when she was quite young, but they caught it early enough where they did the surgery and she was fine and lived to be 92. So
good.
it is kind of a luck of the draw kind of thing at times, Scotty. But I think there are genetic, shall I say, tendencies that run through families at times. So that's the only explanation for what you were just mentioning that I can come up with at least. But yeah, I hope your mom's okay. Like walking is a big thing. Like my mom was a lifelong walker. She never learned to drive a car or anything, and she walked everywhere. And she was in amazing shape until about the age of 90 when her health started to fail. But if you can get out and walk, that'll really keep you going. I think for a lot of people anyway. But yeah, I
Absolutely.
hope your mom's okay, man.
Oh,
Is,
you know
is
what?
she
And
is she taking meds or anything to help the heart condition? I hope, like
well, she's well, and that is part of the reason for my sort of absences, is that I am checking up and making sure that
Oh,
she's dope.
you're a
I
good
want to
son.
say hello to Rumble. Rumble is working, and we are joined by SDSSD Thank you for being here, SDSSD You're amazing for being here, and I don't know how the Rumbles work, but if you want to give a like and subscribe over there on the Rumbles, or a Rumble and a continuing to Rumble, please do so. Also, big shout out to Herc130. I don't know if I said hello. I don't know if Jill said hello. But I'm sure everyone here wishes Flyboy the best. Um,
Yeah, hi
and
all everybody in the chat. Hi guys. Like I
we
usually
you
don't
know,
watch the chat.
it's amazing. It's so good. I'm so glad that all of you guys are here. I apologize for not being Jill currently, but she is so very happy to see you here. And if you don't have the opportunity to see this live and you're seeing this on the replay, then welcome and thank you again. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You can become a member if you wish.
Hit that
And
thumbs up button too, if you don't mind, guys. Like that helps out as
right,
well.
totes, yeah. Anyway, and Booger, it's always a good thing. I would have
Booger.
checked out Rumble if I knew it was working. I would check out Rumble if I knew how it worked. So, but like, is there what about? I was going to ask you, PvP. When did you see this first?
Hmm.
Did you see
I'm
it in the
trying to
theater?
think.
Because I never had that opportunity.
I don't. I don't think I did actually, because this was what year? 1995.
5? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I wouldn't have seen it in a theater because, obviously I was old enough to see it then. I was kind of into college studies at the time though. This was a couple years before I went into the fine arts thing, but I was taking a lot of general courses at my local community college, like English and psychology and sociology. And, I even took a semester of, acoustic guitar, believe it or not. And
I
I
believe
actually
it.
learned how to read music, which I've since forgotten that skill, unfortunately.
Sad.
But I was kind of, you get into the books, right? You get into the essays and the tests and all that college stuff. And sometimes, life kind of passes by, and maybe this movie just was at my local cinema and I didn't think about it,
I
whatever
believe.
reason,
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
I think it's the same thing that happened to me. This was the summer that I lost my virginity. But like, what was your impetus in terms of, because you are a science fiction fan, you are a fan of science, you enjoy these, not only the fictional adventures but also the real human adventures. What was the movie that really got you into real world grounded science?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Well, you
I
can
mean, for me,
ballpark it.
the first movie I saw that really got me into like heavy into science fiction that had somewhat believability would be 2001, of course, because I mean that
Mm,
does have a lot to do with putting your trust and faith in an AI system, keeping you alive. And I won't go into spoilers, but I think that was a very prescient warning that Kubrick was trying to tell us in that film. Too bad the human race doesn't seem to have paid much attention to that, like they usually do. Ignore many warnings in many great sci-fi films
too
over
true.
the decades.
Too true.
So that's probably my first introduction into, because I think I was like 11 when I saw that or something. So
Nice.
yeah, and I saw it in the cinema, and my hometown had the biggest screen in the interior of the province, so it was a massive screen, like I don't know, 180 feet across or something. So I mean, watching 2001 on a ginormous screen was quite an experience as a kid, I'll tell you. So yeah, but that got me thinking about science. I think, like as far as like artificial intelligence and those kind of themes. And I mean, it was just so darn well made. I mean, the special effects, the space stations, the ships. I mean, it was all
Yeah.
so plausible, right? It was so plausible
Well, for
to
sure, we're
me.
gonna have to cover 2001 at some point. But considering that same thing with this movie, there was a NASA employee who was a consultant for the film who said the set was so realistic he would leave at the end of the day and look for the elevator before he remembered he wasn't really in mission control.
Oh,
Oh, that's cool.
that's an attention to detail that is incredible. Like that's the kind of stuff that with a lot of the CGI and green screen and what have yous that happen. And this is something that Dave Bautista said about the difference between Marvel movies and when he was working on Dune, is that he actually had a set to interact with and people to interact with, as opposed to acting to a tennis ball, if you will. And this is like, I am not a person who speaks poorly of modern filmmaking. I like a lot of modern films, but this is something where practical effects and real life environments do help the actors and make it so that you feel like you're a part of something, and you do it really helps build the reality of the drama.
Because it is real. I mean, the sets are real. I mean, the incredible
Well,
detail I've mentioned before in this film, and it's like I can see these actors. I could see that NASA, advisor going into that control room, and I imagine for him in some ways it was like being immersed back in 1970 and almost reliving it in his mind in some aspects, perhaps because you mentioned he looked for the elevator. It's like, damn, that's pretty real, when you're looking for the elevator and you're like, oh, wait a minute, it's a movie set.
And
I wouldn't
before we
mind.
move on too quickly, I just want to say that if you are living in Canada and you are close to a Cineplex theater, there is going to be a Kubrick retrospective of all of his films, actually, like even from
Oh
Killer's
man.
Kiss, The Killing, like going as
Oh,
far back,
when's
and they're
that on?
doing. Well, it's on Cineplex. Like it's a Cineplex. It is a go to the theater
I'm a
situation, and so
5 hour drive away from the nearest one, so
well, and you know what? And just being a fan of Kubrick as you are, I would recommend, and I hope you do as well, is that if you have the opportunity, I think that anybody who can take advantage of that should. I
I
know
would
that
love
they're
to.
re-releasing the Spider-Man movies and the Star Warses,
I
but
imagine
if
is
you
that
are a cinematic aficionado, I would highly
yeah.
recommend
Oh,
checking
yeah,
out the
I would recommend
Kubricks.
anybody that has a chance that's close to a Cinemax to definitely take because most of Kubrick's films are pretty amazing, actually. I mean, there's one or two that I don't care for personally, but most of his, cinema work is pretty much classic stuff. So, yeah, unfortunately, driving through those high mountain ranges, and I have to work too, so it's probably not going to happen for me personally, but I guess that would take place over several weeks, I'm guessing, since he
Yes.
does have, like a dozen films or
Well,
whatever.
that seems like a great event. I wanted to read
Oh,
this from Herc
I'd love
130.
to see that.
Herc 130 says, I wrote a manuscript for the Osprey Publishing called How We Got to the Moon Without Ever Leaving Earth, the Use of Simulators During the Manned Space Mission. It will be published in about 6 months.
Hot
Oh,
diggity damn,
nice.
Herc.
You got a real publishing company to publish you. That's pretty awesome, dude. Wow.
Yes, and
Please.
Pop Culture Curator says congratulations.
Yeah, that's great. Great stuff, man. Power to
Well,
you.
and it's also like when I hear about people who are writing books, it's one thing to make stuff up out of whole cloth, which I appreciate fiction writers very much. I enjoy fiction books. They're my favorite. But like with your knowledge of flying and being a pilot, I think that would be a very engaging read. So keep me updated if you don't mind, please.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that would be really cool for you to promote on your channel. I know it's about cars, but I think it's related. I would like to hear about that if you want to talk about it. And let's see. There's some
It's about cars? How is it about
it's
cars?
not the book he's writing, but the channel he has. I
Oh,
should share it now.
vehicles.
As I mentioned it. Yeah, vehicles.
Well, I'm
Mm.
sure he probably will do some videos about the book as well at some point,
I
hopefully.
don't know. I don't know if he plans to, but I know he has.
Flyboy in the
Well,
There's
chat
his
it'd
says
be a great
it
way to
is
promote the
based.
book.
Flyboy in the chat says it is based on some of
Mhm.
my master's degree in aeronautical science. Oh, so you're qualified or something? Fine.
Yeah, exactly. And what better way to write something? It's great to write what you know, and that's what he's doing.
Am I the only one who's excited? Actually, me and Pop are excited.
Did you hear me?
Yeah.
Uh,
No, wait. Me,
Oh,
Pop,
huh.
and Jill.
didn't I say it was cool too?
Yeah.
Like,
Me, Pop, Jill, PvP, the entire chat,
Everybody is
and possibly
excited.
most of Papua New Guinea.
All 100 34 of the future people who are going to watch this live stream. Now I'm jinxing
Delicious.
my live stream, my post stream
What?
views.
Only 134?
There might be more.
You're shortchanging yourself.
Oh,
Yeah, I am
well,
just so I don't. Anyway,
Booger has
please
to.
subscribe to Herc 130's car channel. That's how I describe it. It's a channel with cars, and it's called my Mach 1 for life.
It is narrated by Gary Newman. I knew you'd get that, PvP.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, Scotty. Yes.
Booger 414 says, just realized I have an appointment to go.
Uh-oh.
To go to later.
Have a good
Cheers,
appointment.
Booger.
Bye. So
I hope it goes well.
Your crawl says it's William Shatner's birthday today.
93
Yes,
years
it
young.
does.
He's 93. Wow. Power to you. Power to the Shat. That's all I can say. It's like, what a life. What a life that man has had.
And he's still living it. He still rides his horses and his motorcycles, as far as I know.
Yeah, he don't care about all the negativity that's heaped on him by a certain crowd of people. He just goes, hey, I'm alive. I'm 93. I'm having fun. I'm having a good time. If I want to record some music or do a TV special or appear in a movie or write a book or ride my horse, I'm going to do that. And I don't care what anybody else thinks. And it's like, that's the way to live, Shatner. That's the way to live your life, buddy.
I believe the way to make that a long story short, and not to dismiss your story, PvP, but I think the best way to say that is Denny Crane.
Which he did win an Emmy for, right?
Yeah. Like that was one of the most baffling things to me is that when he won an Emmy, I was like, Emmy winning actor William Shatner, and everybody had made fun of him for his acting and how it was hammy, over the top, stutter stopped. It was like, no, he won an Emmy for portraying a character, and I thought that was one of the great achievements that sort of made me admire him even more. Is even in the face of the derision, he was awarded by his peers for his performance, and I admire him still to this day.
Yeah. I always thought Shatner was a great actor. Like all that stuff about him hamming it up in Star Trek, I always found kind of ridiculous and silly because there's a couple of really bad episodes, so badly written that no one could save them, that maybe he did ham it up, a bit here and there, right? But
exactly. We just saw that example in Way to Eden. It was not a very good script. And there is a moment where they're hamming up.
Perfect example. Yeah, but I mean, most of his
but they're hamming up where they get attacked by the sonic wave, and both Shatner and Leonard Nimoy just go all in on it in such an absurdly wonderful way that it's probably the only part of the episode where I'm like, wow, well they're really doing their best right there with this shit.
Well, I think they're basically, it's like, we're screwed. This script
there you go,
sucks.
Gorilla. You can buy a lottery ticket.
We're just gonna, let's not even try to do good acting in this turkey because, let's just have some fun. And I think that's probably what Shatner and Nimoy were doing. They were just hamming it up to have fun at that point because they'd given up on any kind of quality performance with the script that they were handed that week. So.
Even with that, it was quality to me because it's like,
me too.
Kind of a relief.
Well, it is. If you look at it as a comedy episode, I mean, I can kind of get through it, right? Because it's so absurd. But Shatner generally, in most of the Star Trek episodes, I've rewatched over the years, I find his performance is very subtle, very understated quite often, and intelligent, and lots of nuance. Like he'll just give a little look or a nod, or it's not overacting at all. In fact, I find sometimes it's underacting in a lot of the episodes. So
I do want to talk more about Shatner if we have time, but I want to get through this movie first.
I went off on my horse tangent.
No, but that's okay. That's okay. I love talking about William Shatner, so we have to. I have to remind myself that we get a break.
You need a break, Ken? they don't get one, I don't get one.
Now there's been an explosion, and they're all okay.
That's that's back to back two incredible sort of moments in this movie with Ken being like, nope. Even when he goes into the simulator and he's like, okay, so I want everything dark. I don't know what I'm doing. I need a flashlight. And they hand him a flashlight and he's like, that's not the flashlight they would have. I want the flashlight they would have. And then when you follow it up with Marilyn going to the elder Mrs. Lovell, and it's like, oh, I have to explain this to you. There are so many emotional moments in this, in a mission-driven story, that it
Mrs.
keeps
Lovell thinks that she has to comfort the mother, but it's the mother who ends up comforting them.
And isn't that lovely when Jim's mom says, "Are you scared?" And the little girl, like Jim's daughter, is obviously very scared. And she says, well, and as you played in the clip before, it's
If they could get a washing machine to fly.
Jimmy could land it.
precisely. It's so, I well up. Like, I was so taken by the emotion, the build of this movie. It's so, and it being based on real events just makes me inspired.
Another thing
Like
I
this-
love
is
when they can't use the computer to figure out how to fix the trajectory because they're off course. They're gonna, it's not good.
Die.
Well, now look, Houston, all we need to hold attitude is one fixed point in space. If we can keep the Earth in the window, flying manually, the coax.
And so this parallels another moment in his life where he had to use nature to guide him. He had to use, was it algae or something in Japan when he was flying his airplane?
It was the wake of the ship that stirred up the algae that fluoresced.
Fluorescent algae.
Yeah, he was able to follow it right to the carrier where he needed to go.
He could land on the carrier because of the algae. Like, amazing.
And unlike Ken Mattingly, I did take a break. That's where I've been. I took a lunch break, so I'm back now.
Yes, and
you never know what events are going to transpire to get you home.
It makes me feel feelings. Stop it, Jill.
Yeah.
Well, I could only pick a few clips, and the ones I picked had to be the ones.
The
that
good
we
ones?
chose.
Well, you picked the good ones.
If you picked the good ones, you'd have most of the movie, though.
I know. If I had more time, I would have about 300 videos.
Yeah.
Scotty's getting the feels.
If we can keep the Earth in...
You're enjoying it, Scotty, because
Okay, I'm gonna go back and reorganize the sequencing.
this film.
And find more power.
And
More
so that's
power.
more power. And I wanted to get where he says, okay, so this is where I couldn't clip anymore.
Uh-oh. Or did your
So
clipping
the
finger
next
get
clip-
tired, Joe?
You sound like a failed moil.
So
Jill
the next
ran out
clip
of
I was going to
energy.
get, I ran out of time. The next clip I was going to get was, so reverse it. Reverse the flow and see if we could draw these 4 amps from the LM lunar module batteries before we cut it loose.
Oh, yeah, that was cool. I remember
And
that.
so that's cool. So that's where Ken Mattingly, he's Montgomery Scott during this movie, and it's pretty
Totes.
amazing.
Well, and that's also something that Gene says, as played by Ed Harris. He's like, I don't care what these ships were designed to do. I want to know what they can do in the worst conditions. And it's something that, by the way, hi, Positive Candor. Thank you for being here. And Houston, we have a problem.
Positive.
Houston, we have a problem. We have a main bus B undervolt.
I don't care what anything was designed to do. I care about what it can do.
Darn
Thinking
right.
outside- Thinking outside the box.
And there is something about it that is inspirational, even when they get rid of the landing module and they're going back to Earth. And when Fredo looks out the window and he's like, damn, that was a good ship. And the thing is that hit me, that touched me, like seeing that landing module go away without any history felt the same way that I felt when I saw the Enterprise burn up in the atmosphere of Genesis. And I was just like, no, that was the real life Enterprise that saved those men. And this is the real life of space exploration. You have to discard the ship and thank heavens that it saved your life for a time. But when it is time to let it go, you got to let it go.
It served its purpose, and they had to let it go to survive.
Exactly.
Sure was a good ship.
I can't believe you got that. I love you so much.
Well, I do too. We're friends for a reason.
It's all warm and fuzzy today on Jill's Friday stream.
Everybody loves Jill.
It's Friday the 13th.
And that was the last clip I could get. And I knew I had to get an ending clip. And the website where I get the clips from wasn't cooperating. But I knew I had
crashed.
to get one. Yeah. No, it
What
kept having bad gateways.
Scotty, what'd you say about Friday the 13th?
No, I'm just saying, if we're reviewing Apollo 13, then why don't we just redub today Friday the 13th?
Oh, okay.
Ah, right.
Whatever.
Because the 13th in April of 70 was on a Monday.
No. Agreed.
Well, if I would have had this on a more appropriate day, it probably would have been April 12th, because that would have been during the mission, at least, because that is a Friday. But on April 12th, we will have Retro Nerd Girl on here to talk about Tank Girl.
Oh, my squee.
Yeah. So
I am
that's
looking
what's
forward to
going to
that.
happen.
It is one of my favorite movies.
Never seen it.
But that's the interesting thing about this live stream. It almost didn't happen because I was normally, if I'm awake at 4 a.m. and I'm only halfway through the slides, I give up.
Oh dear.
And I did not this time.
Wow. So how late were you up? I mean, how early did you?
5:30.
Oh my goodness. Did you get some shut eye at all?
Yeah, I did actually. I
Okay,
slept for
good.
3 hours after I dropped off the children. And so,
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
You stayed up all night and then you drove your children to school?
I had an hour of sleep before I drove them.
Oh dear.
That's how she gets the front of her car sheared off, is by driving with pure exhaustion. She's a stunt woman, ladies and gentlemen.
I wasn't the one who fell asleep during
Yeah.
that car accident. It was the other lady who fell asleep and smashed my car. I was not sleepy. I would not have driven my children if I was too sleepy. For some reason, I wasn't sleepy. I was excited. I was full of the same, maybe not the same feelings they had, but I just woke up and I'm like, I'm not tired. I'm not tired at all.
Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah, because getting all these clips and all these slides, you were jazzed.
I was because I love this movie so much.
Yeah. I
It's so
remember when I
incredible.
edited my first student film, I was up all night and I got home and I'm like, I'm still not sleepy. I'm too jazzed.
Yeah, that was me. That was me today. I was too jazzed to give up on this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I've done that before.
There's
There is
Rance.
something-
Rance Howard.
There is something about when your mind is so engaged in something that you just can't sleep because your mind is still, spinning and worrying and, doing all the things that it does when it's busy. And you just say, nah, sleep. What's sleep? I can't sleep.
Well, and another clip that I would have gotten was it's like trying to drive a toaster through a car wash. So where there was condensation all over everything was frozen and gross, and so they were afraid that things were going to short. Then another thing.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah?
Go ahead, please.
Jack Swigert also says, "You got her back up, Ken. Boy, I wish you were here to see it."
I bet you do.
Way to go, Jack. So,
well, and that's the thing, is that I think that there is a camaraderie between Fred, Jim, and Ken that would have I don't think that there would have been a difference in the outcome. However, I think that it is, for the purposes of the film, it heightens the drama of the situation with Jack. But I do like, I just like how everybody came together to solve this problem. There's no villain. There's no reason for people to be angry. It is a bunch of people solving a problem. And it is one of my favorite things. I wish real life worked like this. And this is evident that real life
there's the villain
does work
on the
like
left.
this. Oh, he's just he's
Joe Spano.
He's Carter. He's Burke Carter J. That's all he is. He's just the press man.
Don't forget, though, Scotty, this was real life, which is why I find it so inspiring, because it
Of
actually
course,
did
you're
happen.
correct.
You
Absolutely.
know, so I mean, it does prove that human beings can work together at a high level if they have a mission to accomplish and they set their mind to it and they set aside any petty differences that they might have with one another. I wish the human race would get back to this mode of operation more. I think we can. I hope maybe someday we will. But I might be overly optimistic, but it showed us that
I don't think so.
we can, as a species, rise above our base instincts. So, I'll leave
And
it
when
there.
I say I don't think that you're being, when I say I don't think so, I mean I earnestly believe that you're not being overly optimistic. I think cooperation is what will save humanity, and it is overcoming differences, and cooperation is what will make us better. And pointing out the flaws in other is easy. Overcoming those flaws is the difficult part.
That's very true. Yes. Well, it's like, what was that line Spock had? Like, destruction is easy, creation is not, or whatever the line was. I'm probably, messing it up there, but
No, but
that
it's
kind of
good
sentiment, right?
paraphrase.
You
Yeah.
know. Boy, Jill's filling the private chat with stuff.
Oh, my stars. I haven't even seen it.
Jill's writing a novel here.
Yes. Well, Pleasant Valley Picker CA, I need for you to read this by Jim Lovell. These are the last words of the movie.
Do you want me to read the first section, or are we going to take turns on this
Oh
or something?
yeah. Okay, sure. We can take turns.
Because if I have to read that whole thing, I might run out of oxygen myself.
Okay.
Okay,
So
I'll start.
take
Jim
the
Lovell.
take the first two, then
First two.
then Stone
Okay.
Racket, take one.
Got it. Got it.
And
Okay,
then,
here we
and
go.
then Scotty. Take turns as you guys wish.
Our mission was called a successful failure in that we returned safely but never made it to the moon. In the following months, it was determined that a damaged coil built inside the oxygen tank sparked during our cryostir and caused the explosion that crippled the Odyssey. It was a minor defect that occurred 2 years before. I was even named the flight's commander. Fred Hayes was
Wait,
going
that's the
back.
second part.
Yeah, I thought I was
Yeah,
supposed to read the
she
second
asked
one.
him to read the first two.
Okay, my mistake.
Fred Hayes was going back to the moon on Apollo 18, but his mission was canceled because of the budget cuts. He never flew in space again, nor did Jack Swigert, who left the astronaut corps and was elected to Congress from the state of Colorado, but died of cancer before he was able to take office.
Ken Mattingly orbited the moon as command module pilot of Apollo 16 and flew the space shuttle, having never gotten the measles. Gene Kranz retired as director of flight operations just not long ago. And many other members of Mission Control have gone on to other things, but some are still there.
Please continue.
And as for me, excuse me. And as for me, the 7 extraordinary days of Apollo 13 were my last in space. I watched other men walk on the moon and return safely, all from the confines of Mission Control and our house in Houston. I sometimes catch myself looking up at the moon, remembering the changes of fortune in our long voyage, thinking of the thousands of people who worked to bring the three of us home. I look up at the moon and wonder, when will we be going back, and who will that be?
Space. The final frontier.
You know, that's another thing that comes to mind with that last part that Stone Racket just read about wondering when we would go back. I mean, as a kid in 1970, even with the failure, the disaster that was Apollo 13, there were, I believe, a couple more missions that landed on the moon after this. And as a kid, I was thinking, well, sure, we'll have cities on the moon in 15 or 20 years. We'll have passenger ships taking people back and forth to the moon on a regular weekly basis. I mean, it's all going to happen, right? It's all this optimistic future. I mean, maybe my optimistic kid mind was dreaming, of course, I realize now, but it seemed like a reality, like we were actually going to, you know, colonize the moon with cities. I mean, because it would have been easy enough to do, I think, I mean, maybe not then, but in 15 or 20 years later, I'm sure there would have been technology to, begin to do that. And it was just like NASA, the government, whatever, somewhere the will to achieve was lost. And then, it was like we were just complacent for decades until finally, of course, the space station happened and the shuttles happened and all that. But I was always
Now the
extremely
shuttle
disappointed.
program's over.
Yeah, yeah. Now we have nothing basically. Well, we got private industry now
We've got
taking over. Right?
SpaceX and
SpaceX, exactly. Yeah, but I mean,
private
I've
stuff.
always been disappointed that there was never this push to put a colony on the moon, because I'm sure it would have been very feasible, because it's only like 6 days away and or whatever, you know back and forth,
4.
mission. No, but I mean a round trip, so to speak. So it would be easy enough to resupply the moon, and I'm sure there could have been like even minerals found on the moon. Maybe they would have found some,
Are
you know,
you
minerals they
are
could have
you
harvested.
actually saying, and I don't mean to push back, but I
No, I
do.
went on long enough. You're right. I'm done.
Are you saying that, like, what is it? Is it a matter of lack of interest in the moon? Do you think that it is not economically viable? Why do you think that we are not on the moon? Is it because we are lazy, or because there is nothing there for us to harvest?
Well,
Why do you think we're not on the moon?
I think the reason back then was, as mentioned, some of those moon landings didn't happen due to budget cuts. So I think at the time, well, let's face it, Kennedy started the whole, space program, because,
And he did invent the magic bullet.
but he did say that, we're going to do the things that are hard to do, not easy to do, right? So he kind of jazzed up that whole generation to achieve. And of course, it was all about, beating the Russians, of course, with the politics of the era. But, I think as the 60s wore on and a lot of other things happened, like
Yes.
Vietnam and, the
Can we launch the
counterculture,
Ukraine
Yes.
into space and
The
redo
I think it ran out of
the
steam,
never mind.
basically, you know.
the
I think
competition of the matter is what motivates it quite often.
I think if nothing else, though, if they could have like built hotels and resorts on the moon, I'm sure the super rich would have paid handsomely to go there for holidays on the moon. I mean, I know that sounds like sci-fi, but I think it could have
It
been
does.
No, it
reality.
doesn't. It
It could have
does.
Yes,
been
it does.
reality.
But
The
what they
first time you
that
have Clark Gable on a space jet and it blows up, then no one goes there ever again. And the fact is that space travel is risky. It is dangerous. It is not recreational, except when William Shatner does it.
Well,
it is,
that's
but
what Elon Musk is trying to
the
do. Isn't he?
people
To
the
do
the people
recreational
who
orbits.
privately go up there are taking that risk. They have to know the problems with it and
And they sign a
be
contract,
willing,
right? Accepting
yeah,
And
be
as soon
willing
as
to take
Angelina
that risk.
Jolie blows up, people will not subscribe to that particular newsletter.
And
Well, I'm not
and
convinced of
that's a
that.
possibility. I don't know if
I think there'll always be
I-
people that are adventurous enough that will be willing
right,
to accept
exactly.
the risk. You know,
I
that's my
think so,
personal
but
belief.
not necessarily hotels just going up there like they're
Well, I
doing
just
now.
think, you know, Scotty was
Well,
talking about
and Jill,
economics, and that'd be one way to fund it, right? Because that would, you know, bring in a lot of money.
Jill, on a
I'll
day
tell you
like
what.
today,
I'll tell you what I
you
want.
can look up there. Sorry, Stone Racket, I'll be brief. If you look up there today, on a clear day like today, you can see Lake Armstrong. There are 20 million people living on the moon in my day.
And
Anyway,
we
Stone
actually
Racket, please go
will
on.
be covering Star Trek First Contact on First Contact Day.
First Contract?
First Contract?
First Contact.
What is this? The
First
Mad
Contact.
Men 2000?
I meant to say Contact. Star Trek. I
I
got
know,
excited.
but it's funny.
Okay. Star Trek First Contact. We're going to cover the movie that Scotty's referencing on April the 5th on First Contact Day. And I was too excited to say it correctly.
Stone
2
Racket,
weeks,
you
2
had
weeks from 2 weeks from today. Okay.
Stone Racket, you had something.
I don't want hotels on the moon. I want a Clavius moon base as depicted in the classic film 2001: A Space Odyssey. That's what I want.
I'd just like to have any damn thing on the moon, actually, because it's like, you know, it's been sitting there empty for years.
No, not any
you know.
damn thing. I want my Clavius moon base.
I want a
Doggone
Toys
it.
R Us. I want a Toys R Us on the moon.
Now, how about
Yes.
a UFO?
UFO.
Well,
UFO.
Joe calls it UFO.
It depends. It depends where you live.
I go with
UFO.
If you're in America, it's UFO. If
Well, it's
you're
Joe's
British,
channel,
it's
and
UFO.
Joe always
Yeah,
calls
we,
it UFO.
we're,
so-
I call
we're
it-
not Brits.
Ladies
call
and
it-
gentlemen, there is
okay,
no
but
fighting in the
Stone
war
Racket-
room.
Oh my goodness, we've
Stone
got a
Racket,
UFO
I
debate.
call it UFO when I'm well, it's not a debate. I call it UFO when I'm
Argument?
talking about the British TV show called UFO. And so that's the only time I say it. And that's the only time I talk about UFOs at all. If I were talking about American conspiracies, I would say UFO because that's the region that I'm talking about.
I say both. Potato, potato, you know.
Potato. Let's call the whole thing off.
But I mean, like, hey, put a moon base on there to defend Earth. Like, you know, that might come in handy someday. You never know.
Yeah. With moon missiles.
With moon
Donnie
missiles.
says, in actuality, John Swaggart said this. Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here. And that is how this chat began with Stone Racket saying this very thing.
Been a great stream, Jill. I gotta say, this was a good one you picked.
It's come full circle. Herc130 says this movie was unfair to Grumman Aerospace, who designed the LEM. They were outstanding in the troubleshooting and technical support.
Gunther Wendt.
Jill,
I wonder wer
Jill, I'm
Gunther
just gonna have to go after you again. It's LEM.
LEM.
Lunar Excursion Module. LEM. That's what they call it.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I have a fellow YouTuber who is a Trekkie, but is never into Star Wars or Power Rangers.
Yeah, but like
Thank you, Donnie.
Don Ranger Power, I would like to say the world don't move to the beat of just one drum. What might be right for you may not be right for some. So it's all good.
You mean you don't love vanilla ice cream?
Well, but I do love vanilla ice.
Oh,
I ain't going there.
Why?
Franco
You're not
Walker.
getting me into that conversation.
yeah. Franco Walker says, I
I
was too
refuse.
young to remember the moon landings. I was only about 2 or 3 at the time.
Why do you think I'm going to use apolloinrealtime.org as my ASMR? The reason is because I was like 1978. They're done with moon landings at that point. That's when I was born. Thank you, everyone. You know when I was born. But yeah.
You've said it before.
So,
you're as old as Superman.
yeah. Oh, we've
1978.
covered this. And then I
Yeah.
don't. So I'm not flashing anybody. But I'm just saying, like that's a fascinating review of history. Just to hear these people, these men, do extraordinary things in the face of what would be considered certain death. And
To the moon.
to the moon, Alice. And
Max Redstone says.
It's a yes, he does. To the moon.
To the moon.
But it is something where, you know, if you're going to get a little bit of a bloody nose, maybe you should run home and get back underneath your bed, because the space is wondrous, and it will sate your ridiculous desires, but it's not for the timid. And so if you cannot adventure, then shut up. The trial never ends.
And that's why I think people would go to the moon if there was an opportunity to colonize it. I think there are
That
those.
reminds me of the
There's
chat
enough
or
brave
the
souls
poll.
out there, right? You know.
Yes.
What's the
yes,
poll?
that is the poll. The poll today.
There we go.
Well,
Right into
see,
the poll.
I was inspired by this movie to make this poll to ask everybody, if you were qualified and you were the right age and everything, would you fly an exploration mission like this?
You got
And
36
so
votes.
we got 36 votes. Let me share the screen so everybody can see visually what is happening. And so there's the chat. If you were qualified, 67% would do it. Only 33% would not. Thank you so much, everybody, for your engagement in the chat and in the
What
poll.
did you guys
I'm gonna
vote?
end the poll.
On the panel, what did you guys vote? I know Jill can't vote because she
I
made
can't
the poll.
vote, but if I could have, and it was before I had children, I would have said yes.
Yeah, but you have children.
I know.
So are we talking
guess I
about
am
this
the same age
all
as-
time? Or are we just saying, like,
No.
right now? I was
it
figuring
makes it
that
more
we were saying
difficult when
this.
I have children.
I thought that this was going to be a poll based on today, not based on if I could recalculate my entire life.
Well, it
I
says
said if you were the right
the
age.
right
I am
age,
technically
yeah.
that's still the right age. If I had all the right stuff, which I
Yeah.
don't, but if I did.
Ooh, I love that movie.
I hate to say it, I voted no, but I'm just too lazy, and I just appreciate my creature comforts too much to, be flying around a little space capsule somewhere. So I was like, leave that to the more adventurous people. I'm not actually. I'm a pretty. I'm not really an overly adventurous person. I'm a pretty cautious person in general. So I'm more contemplative than adventurous, I guess.
I voted yes. I would go in a
Good for you.
heartbeat. And if John Glenn can go up, and he was an old fogey, even older than me, then I can go up right now.
Yeah, but
Well, there you go.
when John Glenn went up, he was very, very qualified.
Well,
Are you saying I'm not qualified? How dare
That is
you?
exactly what I'm saying.
I could always change my mind, though, I suppose.
You see what Franco Walker says there, Jill?
Franco Walker says, I voted no.
No,
and I'm with Franco Walker.
He said,
I also voted no.
Oh, here in England, we call it UFO too, but I'm watching a television show in which they exclusively say UFO. So I'm going within the universe of the television show that I'm watching. But it is good information to know
dear.
that people
I
in
don't-
England also call it UFO.
I don't know how to handle that.
I'm sure you'll get over it.
I'm
But
just living in the universe of Straker and Foster.
Straker killed his son, so fuck him.
No, he did not kill his son. He did
Yeah,
not.
he did.
That
Yes,
is
he did.
bullshit.
I saw it happen.
Oh my.
But I'm
tried to
with
save
Franco
them.
Walker. Like the thing is, if I had to choose my place in the space program, I would be a guy in a control room wearing glasses and chain smoking. Like that's what I would do. I would not be the guy in the capsule, but I would be the guy trying to get the guys in the capsule back because I admire them for their courage and their skill. I would never like
Oh crap!
I think I
Yes,
would be support staff.
I can't remember
And
what
that's
scene
my
it was,
position.
but there was a scene where there was someone in the control room, and I was like, that would have been Scotty. That's what he would have done. But I don't remember what scene it was. And I had to
Well, that was
rewatch
the
this whole
guy
damn movie.
that was the guy putting a smoke out in a ginormous ashtray full of butts, I'm guessing.
That sounds like me. That sounds like
Yeah.
me.
That's why I can believe
There was
Scotty when he
something he
says
said.
he'd rather be on Earth smoking than, go out on an
There was
adventure. That makes
there was
total
something
sense.
snarky he said, and gosh, I can't remember.
I am snarky. That is
Well, I
true.
tried.
I like what Herc 130 says. I voted hell's yes.
Yeah, man, but you're
Nice.
qualified. I would, dude, if you were in a horrible situation, Herc, and it was my job to do math, I would learn math to get you home. Like that's where I would be. Like I'm
Yes.
Like I'm not the guy to risk, but I am the guy I'm Chief O'Brien. You know what? And even if you want to detriment me, I'm Lieutenant Barclay. But I'm
Ooh.
still going to make sure
But
that
that's
the
not a
ship gets
detriment.
home.
I really love Lieutenant Barkley.
Scotty, didn't you say if you're not adventurous to shut up? So I'm telling you to shut up. You're not adventurous.
Well, I don't really give a good goddamn what you think, sir.
The thing is,
I thought it was
I would
Lieutenant
love for
Broccoli.
this conversation to Barkley. It's
That's me.
interchangeable.
Potato.
The thing is, I would
Tomato,
love for this
tomato.
conversation to continue, but it's got to end. It's got to stop here
Yeah,
because I gotta go.
I gotta go. I got an appointment in 30 minutes, so I gotta leave myself.
So,
soon.
guys, even if you know the Apollo 13 story, you know how it ends. Still watch this movie if you haven't seen it before, or rewatch it if you haven't seen it in a while, because you'll still be glued to your seat just to see how each event happens, because the story, it's told with great intensity, great desire for as much accuracy as possible. And I know that I was still worried every time a new issue popped up. The way it's told, it makes you believe that there's still some danger, and because it was danger, and there was a possibility that they didn't make it home. And this movie really does get you to feel all of that, and what it would be like to be up there and wonder if you'll ever see your family again. And that's what gave me the idea for today's poll. And director Howard, he mixes these personal dramas with the stuff going on, and he did just a great job balancing all of that. And it made for a great discussion today in the chat and on the panel. And I want to thank everybody for being here. And Scotty, what do you have going on wherever you want to be?
Well, I'm really looking forward to Requiem for Methuselah on Tuesday, right here, on Infinite. What's it called?
Indefinite Lunch in Infinite Combinations.
That is true.
On Tuesday,
and then,
that's Tuesday show.
And then on Thursday, if you guys could go and check out good friend of the channel, this channel and mine, or not mine, but you'll get it. Cinema Gulp. He is going to be doing a Thirsty Thursday this coming Thursday, if I understand correctly. And then after that, Kat and I are going to be continuing our review of all things Fargo. And so that seems to be the jam that we are jamming. And then if we're doing Tank Girl, oh my stars, it's my business. I have to. So that's it. That's all. And also, if you want to follow me on X,
oh right,
that's where I post my OnlyFans.
Well, you did change your tagline recently.
Yeah, like it's not a very good OnlyFans. Like I'm fully clothed.
He does not really have an OnlyFans, but he does have a really great Twitter. X.
It's an absurdity. It's just an absurdity over there on the X.
You don't know what to expect next.
Anyway, thank you so much for having me here, Jill.
Of course. Thank you for being here. And thank you for suggesting this film. It was a great choice. And I can't believe how much I love this movie. And thank you, Stone Racket, for being here, knowing about some of the differences between the reality and the fiction of this movie.
You're most
And
welcome.
thanks
For
bringing
having
the
me.
kitties.
Yeah, I want cats in space. And but yeah, I would I've always dreamt of going to the moon. And ever since I read that book, You Will Go to the Moon, about a father and son taking a journey up to the moon together. And yeah, I've always been fascinated by space, and always will be. So I would love to go up on a mission to the moon, or just go up in orbit around the Earth, even if I had a chance.
Oh,
you need Shatner
definitely.
money.
Yeah, I need Shatner money.
I'd probably be happy with that roller coaster ride, just right up there in the atmosphere for a couple minutes.
Yeah, I definitely would like to orbit the Earth several times, not just do a parabolic type thing like Shatner did.
Yeah.
I'd like to
that would
actually
be even better.
Yeah, or even visit the International Space Station. But
marijuana is
I would
legal in
deliver-
Canada. You can come over here. You're gonna orbit things. You're gonna dock.
No.
I'd like to deliver pizza to the International Space Station.
Oh, that would be sweet. Yeah,
Jill?
that'd be sweet. I would be there right with you, Jill.
Pizza delivery lady?
Great.
Wow, never
Well,
thought
sure,
it'd go that
Tex.
way before.
Hey,
Hi.
PvP.
Well,
going on?
great stream, Jill. Awesome film. Lots of fun. Great chat with everybody today on the panel here. Not much going on my channel at the moment. I'm having some technical issues with modems and stuff that's related to work, which I won't go into, of course. So I haven't updated any music in probably about a week and a half now, and I don't know if I will this weekend. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. No promises there. So not much going on my channel personally. I just want to mention, though, I will be going on the Gorillas Walton stream later this afternoon. If anybody cares to check it out, I think we're doing the episode The Thoroughbred, which I still need to watch. So I got to get caught up on that. Endless watches, it seems I need to do, but I'll do it. And yeah, I guess I can't think of much else to say. I probably would be more open to being a space adventurer if I was younger. I guess my current mindset affected me in voting no, because I'm just too used to being an earthling, I guess. But if I was 30 years younger, I probably would have voted yes.
Well, yeah, and Eugene Bird says it very well. Earth is where it's at.
I like gravity, gravity, running water, air that I can breathe without having, to have it in a capsule.
Yeah, normal plumbing systems are very nice.
They are nice. We live in a golden age, do we not?
I guess PvP, you don't like to go camping then.
I do not.
Oh, I love camping.
Well,
and as Franco says, don't forget to leave a comment as you leave. It helps the channel grow, and maybe next time we'll talk a little more about camping. But I have got to get out of here and go get my kid.
Okay.
So just a quick question, Jill. Is there any plan yet for next Friday's stream?
Yeah. Next Friday. No, I have no idea what I'm doing next Friday. Please check back with me at a further date. And I have no. Okay, I'm sorry. That would be to be announced.
We have the one 2 weeks from now, which you mentioned previously,
yes,
which was
yes, for sure. I know that April 5th we will be covering Star Trek First Contact.
First Contact. Oh, awesome! I got to rewatch. I will enjoy that.
Yes. And so I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining me and talking about going to the moon and making it back home safely when things don't pan out quite right. I hope everything goes well for everybody today. And I'll talk to you next time. Have a wonderful Friday.
Yeah. You
Thanks,
too.
Jill.
Have a great weekend.
See all you guys. Have a great one, and maybe we'll talk over the weekend at some point, or maybe we won't. But anyway, have a good one, guys.
Well, and here's a
true Patox.
What? Huh? What?
That was. I'm bilingual.
He was mixing the ramen with the Klingon, and here's the Requiem for Methuselah trailer. I'm sure I said it. Anyway,
No,
bye.
you did. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
If you do not leave voluntarily, I have the power to force you to leave or kill you where you stand.
Have you ever seen a victim of Brazilian fever? They die in one day. The effects are like bubonic plague.
The Enterprise, a plague ship. A last tender encounter, Captain Kirk. Be thankful that you did not attack me, Captain. I might have accepted battle, and I have twice your physical strength. How childish he is, Raina. Would you call him brave or a fool?
I will not be the cause of this. I choose.
My crew. Time for you to join your crew.
Learn all that is learnable.
And the ways our differences combine to create meaning and beauty.
It has always been easier to destroy than to create.
Well, now you have something new to think about. Carry on.
All right, move along. Done. Stop it. Get off of the things. Go outside. Get some food. It's like, you know, it's a time of day where you live. Go do something. Shut up, Snoopy. I don't care. You smoke too much. Let's go. Let's go adventure. Let's go explore.
I'll get you next time, Gadget. Next time.